I saw no 0.0 USFL, not because I'm opposed to it. I think it's fine. I actually feel badly for football players. I've seen this many times, like firsthand, where a guy comes in, a reputable NFL player, maybe he's been out of the league for like half a season, but he still wants to play. Nobody will sign him. Comes in with a little duffel bag, gets like 15 minutes to run around in shorts in front of a coaching staff that is losing anyway. So who knows what their opinion is worth? And then they tell the guy, hey, yeah, thanks very much for coming. Here's a plane ticket home. See you next time. And so it's very borderline. Guys that make it in the NFL and guys that don't. And as a professor was pointing out on Friday, and he's probably right about this, he was talking about every offensive lineman that has pro capabilities is already in the NFL. Otherwise, you're just taking fat guys out of a Wawa, and saying, hey, Joe, put that sandwich down. I got a contract for you. I'm going to give you 2 dimes to play for the USFL team today.
The time.
Wake up with Defo, joined by Lubie. Welcome to the Defo Show.
On a beautiful Wednesday morning, good to be with you here on the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest, Mike Lubitz, and with you 7 to 9 Eastern time here every Monday through Friday. Always having a good time. Later on the program, we go old school with our good friend and longtime broadcaster. I guess he's still doing stuff. I don't know. The guy has more jobs now than he did when he was working. The great Tony Segreno will join us. The very likable and lovable Tony Segreno, always with a lot of opinions, a variety of stories out of not only the distant, but the recent past, and, of course, the present, and an eyeball on the future. And Tony will be joining us courtesy of Catholic Health Services and the great people at Texas Roadhouse Restaurant. So I'm hoping Ed Garcia joins us because
it will be.
Once again, last night I was at a place in town right near, and Lubie shows up at the park last night. How about that? As I'm embattled.
You still got some skills there, sir. You were actually very active. I'm like, good for Deef.
No, I was running around. You saw a lousy point because we weren't really smacking the ball that hard during that point. It was one of those funky tennis points where you end up shanking a ball and then it goes short, and then the next guy shovels a ball, and now you have to hit a lob over his head, whatever. And it was a lot of fun. Humidity, man, is the greatest asset to anybody that's trying to get a little workout and the schwitz going. I love it, though. Those are my favorite conditions. Cloud cover, evening, heavy humidity, thick, like pea soup, my friend. Like you just went into Whole Foods and poured a bunch of their pea soup all over you, just thick as a brick, and ideal conditions, actually, to play. And I always like that. Anytime you're playing outdoor recreational sports, I always like those conditions because the ball carries, and you do have control. And then the schwitz is immense. I think I had, a beer and 2 cocktails after that. That's how I got myself back to hydration. And the guy said, hey, you guys want some waters? And we said, no. Both of us, Jesse, my son, and me, have a problem where our system repels anything that doesn't have alcohol in it. So to avoid going into all kinds of spastic, sort of convulsions, and you know how that goes, right? Because when you've schwitzed yourself to the maximum level, I tend to cramp up a little bit. Like every move you make. You ever been in that kind of shape, Lubie?
Yes. Yeah.
Where you play basketball or something on a Sunday morning out here in 95-degree heat, and then every move you make, like you can't even move your toes without your entire body going into convulsions. It's ugly, but no, had a great time, and it was good to see you, Lubie. I hadn't seen you physically in a little while. You're looking good, kid.
I'm trying. It was a good trip. We had a good time, and I have to get back on the courts because watching you and your son go at it made me jealous. It was impressive.
No, it's a lot of fun. We do that every Tuesday night, and it's a great thing. A little bonding experience there. Used to be a lot easier to win a couple of games against the kid. A remarkable pickup of the game of tennis by my son Jesse, who was not a tennis player. I've been playing this thing recreationally for like 30, 35 years. And I haven't gotten any better. I've regressed, but he picked it up pretty fast. I mean, it's hard to get stuff by him. You could slam a shot, and all of a sudden it looks like you got Nadal on the other side of the net. Just absolutely fantastic. So good time I had by all. And that's one of the beauties of Florida. That was one of my Ratso Rizzo reasons for coming down here, Lubie. Year-round ability to play sports outdoors. How can you beat that? I mean, anywhere in the country. Maybe California you have that. How many places? I mean, you're not necessarily in January going out and saying what a beautiful day or a beautiful night it is to go out and play sports when you're living in like New England, right? You think Tom Brady enjoyed all of those days playing in snowstorms? I
No
guess
way.
he did because no matter what happened in the game, they would make rules to accommodate the fact that, oh, no, well, you know, when he dropped the ball, but there's snow, we have to allow him to drop the ball and then pick it up himself and run with it. You know, whatever. They would make some kind of newfangled rule to make sure that Brady would find his way back into the Super Bowl. All right. It happened last night. It's kind of an Oy vey Wednesday for us here on the Defo Show. And we've been talking about this wager that we have with one of our partners here on the program, one of our many regulars on the show, Mike Mayo, legendary sports writer, and then he became city editor. And I don't want to dwell on Mayo because I thought basically he was just being, an agent provocateur type schmink for predicting that the Panthers would lose. And this just goes to show you how all logic goes out the window, especially when a wager is involved, people. And with the Kentucky Derby on the horizon, you have to be very careful about how you allocate your cash when you're making wagers. Now, and it's hard to buy into Mayo and all of the gloating. He's become insufferable via text. I couldn't even pick up my phone. I actually threw my phone out the window because I saw it lighten up, right after the game was over and after the Capitals scored the go-ahead goal and the tying goal. And it was like, okay, I know who that is. It's Mayo. All right. And listen, Mike, it's a 7-game series. We love you, but it's a 7-game series. I'm not sure that this is a kiss of death for the Florida Panthers. The fact that both you and I believed that there was no way that they could lose this series, that if they did, it would be one of the biggest aberrations in sports history. Kind of like, maybe the biggest one in the NHL, in recent memory, obviously, was when the Tampa Bay Lightning, as the number 1 seed, got swept out of the playoffs in the first round by the Columbus Blue Jackets, who actually had in goal Sergei Bobrovsky, and that was the series and the playoff run. The Blue Jackets ended up going, I think, all the way to the conference finals behind outstanding, just acrobatic net minding by the rather large Sergei Bobrovsky. Is he like a real skinny dude and just wears a lot of padding? Or he appears to be what I thought was the ideal body type for a goaltender, which would be, and I don't know why some NHL general manager, maybe Lamoriello, one of those guys that's like real innovative, what would come up with something like this and just say, hey, let's get a sumo wrestler and lay him down on his side. Now, if you put the typical allowable goalie padding on a sumo wrestler, think about that, you would pretty much block the entire goal, even if the guy never moved, right? Just lay the guy down on his side. One of those 500-pound sumo wrestlers that you see every now and then. They only really surface in the Olympics, and all of a sudden you go, hey, look at that, sumo. Did Wide World of Sports feature some sumo wrestling? Spanning the globe to give you the constant variety of sports, the thrill of victory, the agony of defeat. And then you would watch two fat guys just kind of lock horns like they were, two bulls getting ready to fight. And then they wouldn't move the entire time. It might have been the birth of, in the generation of the idea behind mixed martial arts, right? Where two guys just lay against the side of the cage there for 4 minutes of a 5-minute round. And then one guy gives the other guy a noogie and then they break them up. And that's it. But why wouldn't you do that, Lubie? Why wouldn't you put a sumo wrestler in front of the pipes and just let them lay there and, make it impossible? Okay, so if a guy could fit a puck, I guess these guys are very skilled. We see it sometimes at the All-Star game. They can put a puck pretty much anywhere. Do you think if there was very limited open space in the goal, it wouldn't matter if the guy was just laying on the ground? He wouldn't have to do any kick saves, skate saves, glove saves, stick saves, none of that, right?
Well, we've talked to people about this, and they say it's asinine because there still would be space, and shooters, forwards, wings, whatever, are so great at aiming the puck that they would find the space. And that's the problem is sumo wrestlers are not actually athletic. They're athletic for their size. They're not actually athletic. No. Goalies are way more athletic than we give them credit. So
this shows you how insane this loss was, though. Sorry to cut you off there, but this shows you how insane the loss was.
Yep.
Was that we're actually thinking about putting sumo wrestlers in the goal.
We're thinking
about Bobrovsky's a big guy, though, and he was having a good game. Everything was going our way. It was nice. They get down 1-0. That Rob Wilson is the dirtiest player in hockey. How this slime ball is even out there on the ice after some of the things that he's done. I'm sure there have been dirtier players. I guess you could
I
take.
mean,
He's not really in the goon category because, and you know what? You don't really have just straight up goons anymore in
no,
hockey. Have you noticed that?
no.
You have to be able to play a little bit. Now Wilson can score, but wow, I mean, he is more dirty than Grayson Allen is in basketball. Just an absolute foul ball when it comes to any kind of integrity or moral or ethical philosophies behind what it is that he's doing. I mean, he'll just take a stick and hack your head off, and and then turn around and laugh. But and in the playoffs, you see a little bit less of this, although it was very aggressive early on. This game, the Panthers had two-man advantage down to the Capitals early, and when they survived that, which they barely did, I guess technically Wilson's first goal was a power play goal because it might have come at like the last second of what was originally a 5-on. Well, I mean, it was 5-on-4, and then the Panthers incur another penalty shortly after the first one, so they're 5-on-3 for about a minute and a half, wasn't it? And you're thinking, wow, if they get out of this even down 1-0, that's going to be a pretty good sign. And they did score. It's 1-0. Panthers come back. They get the goal from my man, Claude Giroux. I told you, Claude Giroux was a good addition for this club. And they're up 2-1, 10 minutes into the third period. This is a team that's rallied from behind, never loses a lead. What was it, like no losses when they were leading in the third period with like 10 minutes or less to go? Something like that. And they find a way to bungle away the game. Now, you could, if you were a Panther apologist, you could take a look at what happened there on that tying goal and say, wait a minute, that should have been an icing call, and there's no way the Panthers should have had to bring the puck up the ice in that spot. They should have been at a face-off at the Capitals' end. Are we getting too technical? Me now, Mr. Hockey. I mean, but I have been. People always justify this when you'll hear like some fan criticizing a sportscaster saying, yeah, well, what do you know about hockey? And the truth is, while I couldn't dissect every roster or anything, I've been watching a game, since I was a kid.
Watch your whole life.
Yeah, so I've seen enough hockey to know what the hell's going on out there, and that was clearly, or it looked like it should have clearly been an icing call. And now the Panthers are taking a puck up the ice. They got careless. Ovechkin pokes it away. They get a breakaway, and the Capitals tied the game at 2-2. And then a couple of minutes later, they get kind of a cheesy goal against Bobrovsky. And once again, another defensive lapse by the Florida Panthers, who've been brilliant all year long in these spots.
Yep.
And I guess that's the point. Never mind my bitching and kvetching about the officials, which I don't blame them for what happened. Although there was like a decapitation down at the Panthers' end of the ice in the end game. And a couple of guys who just got like knocked completely out of the arena. No calls whatsoever. So they swallowed the whistle at the end of the game. Fine. If you're going to do that, that's okay. As long as it's balanced for both teams. I mean, you can't all of a sudden call a penalty on the Panthers after you watch guys get tripped, get punched, get mugged, get violated.
I don't watch hockey like you do. In my youth, I did.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you everything about it. I just know in the first 6 minutes, there was 3 penalties called against me. There was literally a 2-man advantage. Like in the playoffs, I mean, are you really giving a team a 2? I don't know what they would have to
2
do.
minutes into the game. They're on a 5-on-3
advantage. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
From the beginning, outside of that game, it was fucking weird. And the Panthers, I think, got 1 penalty for them the entire night. And I think they got like 4 or 5. It was weird. But to me, that wasn't the story. The story was the Panthers were not aggressive at all. Like the first and third period was not. The second period they did, and they got into the game, and they had a lead, and they looked like they had set the tone. And then the third period again, they were not. They were down 10 shots. When are the Panthers down shots? Like that's what's great about this Panthers unit compared to the past is where instead of they do dump and chase, and we hope they score. This team doesn't give a crap. They're going to attack the net.
They fire. Yeah.
They weren't last night. They were not aggressive, and it was really weird. And it put a lot of pressure on their defense, which I don't think they always have to count on. They never count on their defense, even though they have a good defense. That's what sort of was like, what the hell? Especially when you watch with the Avalanche, and I get it, the Predators aren't the same team as the Capitals, but the Avalanche put it on from the start and never let up. And I thought we'd get that from the Panthers, and we didn't see that last night, which was sort of weird to me.
The logic went right out the window. You would have thought they brought back some previous Panther team.
Yes, that's what it looked like.
Say 10 years ago. That was going to go out there and kind of, sort of patsy type fashion there and just let the other team dictate what they were going to do. But they did let the Capitals, as they would say in an NBA game, hang around.
Yep.
And unfortunately, they hung around a little bit too long, and the Panthers didn't have the usual answers. They pulled off a zillion miracles this year.
Yep.
Everything that you could have typed into the standards that made for the Panthers' MO during the season, which we've been talking about, and sort of fueling our confidence that we could not lose this bet to Mike Mayo, that the Panthers would be eliminated in the first round. Everything that we had described and everything that was characteristic about this team went kaputski in this particular game. Now, does it mean the series is over? No.
No.
So, stop sending me pictures of dead rats, Mayo, and all of your sarcasm. It's appreciated. I understand we have a wager. A certain amount of rubbing it in is certainly in order. But, I don't know that it's totally over yet. I would expect the team to rebound. So that makes our watch party tomorrow night at Shenanigans in Dania, and we hope you people to come out, the people that are local here in South Florida. I know we're expansive and being, seen and heard all over the world, but if you happen to be in town here, and we have a large local following, especially courtesy of our friend Scoop Skolnick and his 5 Reasons Sports Network, what are we getting, like 5,000 views a week on this thing? And we really just started and only air part of the show, so that's been great. So enough people will be aware that we're going to be at Shenanigans in Dania. And the other location in Hollywood, which would be more convenient for me, is being remodeled right now. So I think they're already going through their remodeling process, and that's a great spot. So we'll be in Dania. It's also a terrific place. And, wow, I mean, we'll also be on edge, Lubie, as, wow, you would think that is Mayo just going to bring like a bunch of hot babes and have them surround him while he's there watching the game, sipping on a margarita and eating a bunch of those grilled blackened wings that they have there or whatever else. I mean, great food and drink. So come on out, enjoy us or enjoy the game with us, and we'll have a good time tomorrow. And it will be desperation mode, though, should the Panthers lose. Because down 0-2 after losing 2 at home also does not necessarily dictate elimination in the first round, but the flowers might be heading right towards the punch, as they say. I mean, maybe party over if they lose again. So that makes it even more exciting for our watch party. And it was unfortunate last night. I thought I was pretty confident the Panthers would win the game.
Yep.
Mayo thought they were going to lose. He was going to bet them. Remember, he was going to bet on the Panthers to win the game. He thought he was going to lose his bet.
Yes.
And then he was going to do this crazy cockamamie hedge fund thing that he was thinking about. So where are we at now, Mayo? You reduced your price. You should have just bet the series at 260, and you would have been in good shape.
Yep.
Up 1-0. So that was wild. As you said, speaking of wild, action all over the place. Pittsburgh and the Rangers turned out. I'm not sure I'm a big fan of playing 3 overtime periods. Are you? I think they ought to just stick with what they did in the regular season. I mean, maybe play 1 overtime period in regulation and then go to what they do in the regular season. But to see, guys out there, I mean, how out of gas do you have to be if you're getting a lot of ice time during the course of the regular action, the 3 periods of the regular game's action, and then you have to play 3 overtime periods before the game was decided? The Pittsburgh Penguins, who were plus 105, if you're inclined to bet, and I have to credit Brent Musburger's Barry America campaign, because if that's still him that's putting out this Action Sports, his same organization, Vegas Sports Information Network, then the guy had it right. He said, go ahead and take the Penguins. You're getting a little bit of a price, and they're in there with a big shot, and the Penguins come up with a 4-3 win over the Rangers. That had to be particularly deflating for the crowd there at Madison Square Garden. And that was our guy, Gerard Gallant, right? He's done a remarkable job turning the Rangers into a contender this year, and that also seems to be part of his DNA, where he comes in and has excellent success with the team right away, Gerard Gallant. And what we can't get over, I mean, the visualization of the image of Jaromir Jagr taking Gallant's bag and just throwing it out of the bus window on orders from Vinny Viola, and the most despised guy in Mike Mayo's, legion of people that he has on a hit list, Doug Sifu. And they said, "We're firing Jerry, throw him off the bus." And they left him like in the ice in Saskatchewan, some a pair of snowshoes and a duffel bag, and said, "Here's some cab fare. Make your own way to the airport. You're fired, Jerry." And he went on to do great things. I mean, he took the Las Vegas Golden Knights to the Stanley Cup final in their first year, which was amazing. Was that their first year that they went to the finals? I think they did.
Yes.
Yeah, first year
Yes.
under,
Yes.
under
That's
Gerard
right.
Gallant.
Yep.
And then he kind of drifted around. He got canned there. Things didn't work out. They brought in another former Panther coach, Peter DeBoer, to be their coach, and I believe he's still there. Although hockey coaches, they juxtapose positions a lot, and it's very much like the NFL, where, and even the NBA, where it's the same guys. Like Mike D'Antoni is being discussed as a possible head coaching replacement for. Is it Charlotte that is looking for a head coach? And they were talking about D'Antoni.
Yeah, with LaMelo, I think like he has a wide open offense and this and that.
No, but it's always the same guys, right? But hockey even more so. I'm surprised somebody doesn't dig up Toe Blake or Scotty Bowman and put him behind a bench, like the carcass of some former coach, because they really don't go outside of the loop too often to bring in new guys. They've tried it a few times, right, where they brought in like a college coach. It was a guy, Herb Brooks, didn't he get a shot in the NHL for a little while and bombed out?
After that, they're the
old Brooksy.
They got a shot.
Yeah. So Gallant, though, did a great job with the Rangers. They end up losing at Madison Square Garden last night. The other games, Calgary, surprisingly, I know nothing about the Calgary Flames. I know that Lanny McDonald played there many years ago, and they made a Stanley Cup run. But outside of that, can you tell me anything about the Calgary Flames? Where is Calgary, man? That's out west, too, isn't it?
I think it's West Canada. Yeah. I mean, Joe McGinley was one of the first African-American superstars in hockey for Calgary and took them to a Stanley Cup. And that was 15 years. I mean, I was in college then, so I couldn't tell you what's going on now for Calgary.
Among the predictions that I saw for the Stanley Cup, and this was a panel that they had in the New York Post, they had three guys. One guy is an iconic Hall of Fame sports writer when it comes to hockey, Larry Brooks. I don't know. I think he has a good opinion. Some people would say otherwise, but he's been watching a game long enough that you would have to think that I don't know what kind of gambler he is or foreseer of the future, but he had Calgary winning the Stanley Cup, as did one of the other people in this little three-person panel. You know how they assemble, like, here's how it's going to go, and they have different writers that cover, are on the hockey beat. And two of them had Calgary winning the Stanley Cup, which, I thought that's pretty far-fetched, isn't it? I heard nothing about the Calgary Flames all season long, but they win 1-0 over Dallas last night in their first game, and Colorado crushed the Nashville Predators. Nashville had that great run a couple of years ago when they had P.K. Subban. Remember that? And it was fantastic. I mean, you talk about an atmosphere. That was great. Everybody wanted to be in Nashville, and all these country singers had bought into the whole hockey thing, it was just rocking. I mean, a raucous arena. But playoff hockey, it's underway, and losing that first game, certainly not a good omen for us.
It's just, it felt like, because that's what this year was about, was not being the old Panthers, right? Like
they lost 7 games at home all year. They out of 41
at home. They were, it said, supposedly the second best road record. They had one of the top 5. They won like 5th most games ever. They had one of the best. They had the best offense in the last 25 years. They did all these things. They went at the deadline and brought in veterans. They came off a tough series, like all the things you needed to be different. These playoffs, it felt like this year was that year. And then the team I saw last night was not the team I've seen come back from 5-0 down in the third.
Very feeble, yes.
It just was weird. It was like, come on, man. And that's the kind of game that you feel like would set in all this. Like they're a team that, we're different. Are you? Like guys like Mayo should feed off of a game like
no, man, Mayo is, like I said, he's become insufferable.
I was texting with him. I know you.
I know. I stayed out of it. I couldn't even stand it. Like the whole thought of it, like getting involved in it. It was very painful to watch this, to be dead wrong about something.
I'm so mad.
That should be the name of the show, the Defo Show, Dead Wrong. That'll be the subtitle. It couldn't have been any more off on that. So that's strike one against us. And I don't know. The other thing that bothers me about Mayo, the gambling gourmet, is that he will order everything. He's not one of those guys. Like when Jersey Kyle was picking up that tab in Las Vegas, when we ended up at the Gordon Ramsay steak place at the Paris, and we were going to go to some like casual place where, that guy's going to pick up the tab. So maybe he's picking up an overpriced hamburger. It's $20.
Yeah.
These steaks were like $100. On the Gordon Ramsay menu in Las Vegas. And they were great, but I mean, $100 steak, it's, conceptually
That's
something
crazy.
that I really have a great bit of difficulty accepting, don't you? $100 for a steak, and that comes with the three ugliest words in the French language, which is a la carte.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't get anything with it. Like, even
Nothing, man.
it's
Not
too,
even
like,
an asparagus. Hey, Gordon, you got some broccoli in there you can throw in there? $100? Are you kidding me? I mean, how much could this piece of meat have actually cost the guy? And, even with all the expense of being in Las Vegas and having a fancy schmancy restaurant, still, it doesn't justify that kind of a jilting of the public there by price hiking like that. I mean, now where's Pam Bondi? That wasn't she responsible for price gouging?
exactly.
Did she end up making it with some? What happened to her, man? She disappeared. So sort of a decent looking babe that was always on the wrong side of everything.
Oh, she was
Whenever some issue came up in Florida, which as we've talked about many times, Florida, you're often going to find yourself like absolutely flabbergasted that the consensus of public opinion is directly and diametrically opposed to anything that any rational human being would ever think about how life should be lived. Incredible. This is where we're at now. Now we're condemning the whole state for this loss. That's great. All right. So we're down 1-0. The watch party's tomorrow. Come on out, shenanigans. You're on your own tab on this one. Unless Mayo is feeling so good about what happened. And maybe he did finally, gain, a little chutzpah there and say, you know what, I'm getting plus 260 on the series. I'm so convinced that the Panthers are going to lose. Why don't I take the plus 260, put 200 on that, and I'll pick up 520. And there you go. I'll flash those bills, maybe even offer to pay the check when it comes after they get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs. All right, so hockey's underway. And, of course, tonight, the resumption of what I think, this series really lost a tremendous amount of its luster and interest, although, I don't know. I mean, how can Philadelphia steal one against the Miami Heat? Tyler Hero, your man, Tyler Hero, who you hated as a draft pick.
I did.
I see. You don't archive enough stuff, Lubie. You save a few clips, but you ought to save some of the ridiculously bad opinions that have been expressed on this program, including now. I liked Tyler Hero very much. In the my one knock on Tyler Hero when he was drafted by the Heat, and what was he, like a mid-first round pick somewhere?
First. Yeah, it was mid-first.
Yeah, he was a first-round pick, but what was he, like 14th pick or something?
14, 17. I don't know. He and Bam were in that same range. It was like 14 to 17.
Yeah, I thought Bam maybe was like 12, 13, something like that. And I want to say 14 for Tyler Hero, but I can't say that with a great deal of certainty. But it was somewhere in that range, and I'd seen Tyler Hero play much like Devin Booker, a similar type of guy, not quite as smooth athletically as Devin Booker.
Tyler
13th pick.
13.
Yeah, and I thought, wow, I mean, the one knock was, I think if you go back and research this, Lubie, his senior year or whatever his last year was, I don't think he played to be a senior, but
I think it was a
freshman. Yeah, he's a one-and-doner. But his final year, which was his only year as a collegian, his shooting percentage from three-point range, which I think, the three-point shot at a college level is a joke. I mean, that's a layup to a chucker.
Yes.
It's nothing. I mean, you would have no problem shooting 50%, I think, from three-point range if you were a college player. And he shot like 35% on the college threes in that one season, which you thought, wow, this guy should be more accurate than that if he's going to be a big-time effective three-point shooter in the pros. But I did think that it was a good pick. You panned it, much like you did Bam Adebayo. You thought that was a reach.
Bam, I didn't know. I mean, it was pick 14.
The only one you liked was Justice Winslow. That was the only pick that you liked of the ones that we've discussed here on the show. Biggest, a mistake in the history of the franchise was taking this guy. Unbelievable. Yeah. Remember they tried to make him into a point guard? The press will buy anything that Pat Riley says. That's why that portrayal in Winning Time seems utterly ridiculous, because Pat Riley is more of a charmer than he is like a brute force.
Oh, no, yeah. Even in L.A., that was his thing, was the slick back hair, the Armani suit. He, everyone just fawned over him. They've always done that. I mean.
Yes, and for good reason. I mean, the guy, he couldn't be any better at expressing himself or making you feel good about life or basketball or anything along those lines. Always just amazing. I remember making some joke about the WNBA to Pat Riley, and he kind of turned me around right away and said, you know what, it's not about necessarily that you should expect that the WNBA should look like NBA play or even top-level men's college basketball. It's about the game, Lubie. Just like my tennis match with my son last night. It's about the game.
There
You
you
get
go.
to get out there and play and do certain things, and the camaraderie that's developed, and you're in some kind of bizarre mutual symmetry that makes you feel good about the way things are going. All of this philosophical stuff was applied, but yeah, I mean, Pat Riley. I mean, how on earth he went along with you and took Justice Winslow in that draft was bizarre when Devin Booker from Kentucky was sitting there. But we can't lament that. He scored big with Tyler Hero, sixth man of the year, well deserved.
Yes.
21 points a game coming off the bench. A guy in a position. Spoelstra comes to him before the season. I don't know. Was Patton on this conversation?
Probably.
And said,
I probably talked to him. I would
listen,
not.
we love you, but you're not going to be starting anymore.
Well, he never started. Wasn't he a bench guy last year? He's always been like weirdly a bench guy. Like it's always been like the Manu role where like Robinson started and no one knew why, and Hero Bit was on the like. It's always been weird. Like,
yeah, well, I like that. I mean, if you can get a guy that's a catalyst, a spark,
what it
come in, the old Vinnie Johnson, the microwave, instant offense, and immediately changes the dynamic of the way defenses have to line up against you. And all of a sudden, guys that might have been under immense pressure early in a ball game, you put a Hero in the lineup, he opens things up.
Yep.
Now you got Adebayo scoring, but without Joel Embiid in there. And I had some more thoughts on this since yesterday.
Yes.
Lubie, this whole Doc Rivers thing.
Yes.
No, I mean, think about this. Not only should Joel Embiid have been on the bench in that spot in that final game, the sixth game against Toronto, he should have maybe even been on the team bus. In fact, I would take it further. He should have been at the airport clearing customs when that play occurred.
Go.
Right here, take your bags, Joel, and we'll meet you in Miami, man. Get down there, get a little sunshine. Fix up that thumb. Go have some cocktails, a dinner, maybe at one of the fancy schmancy restaurants down here. Maybe you could have been at Runway 84 for that dinner with Mike Mayo. But, I mean, get that bleep out of here. What would have been my attitude. But the guy, how could he possibly have not been on the bench? And, or as I said, I mean, I would have gone further. I would have had him sitting in the first seat on the team bus in the alleyway, that garage level that they have at most arenas. And, he would have been sitting on there, and the only thing that could have thrown him off would have been if Conor McGregor, like, threw a chair through the window. That would have been the only way he would have gotten hurt if there were other mixed martial artists on the bus there. How did Conor McGregor get away with that one, huh? You think Dana White staged that whole thing?
Yes, we all thought that.
My God.
It was a joke.
Kind of crazy, yeah. Your boy Masvidal in a little bit of trouble, huh? This guy, what was it, Covington? The guy that he got in a big fight with after he fought him in an actual MMA fight.
Yeah.
Lost to him for the second time. They used to be best of friends. How'd that happen? They were best of friends and now they hate each other?
I mean,
that's weird.
Your job is fighting.
Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe your head is not exactly.
Well, and also, like, if you're beating the crap out of someone, even if you love them, like at some point, I mean.
Well, I think they started to despise each other, I think, before they got into that first fight. And then the hatred just germinated into something and blossomed into something that really was very difficult to overcome. But then he punched a guy out in like a restaurant in Miami. And now, is it Colby Covington? Is that the guy's name? And he's claiming that he has like brain damage from this now.
Oh, geez.
So they're thinking about upping charges against your man Masvidal, who we met, and he was kind of a crazy cat, was he not?
He's a fun interview, but he's definitely out there. Colby Covington is the guy's name, from what I see.
Yeah. How about that? Me with my MMA, hockey, talking about Lanny McDonald and the Calgary Flames. My God, Lubie. What more do you want here? Just a treasure chest of knowledge on the program today. With no ability to pick winners, that's for sure. Now, that's going to have to change with the Kentucky Derby on the horizon. And thank you very much, Mike Lubitz. It is confirmed, Degenerate Friday going to be loaded up with Kate and Bradar's assessment of the Kentucky Derby. There's also the Kentucky Oaks, although I'm not familiar with any of the horses in the Kentucky Oaks and have seen very little in actuality of the 20 horses that are in the Derby field. I did watch, the bigger prep races, of course. You had the Florida Derby here, and you had like the Bluegrass going on the same day with the Wood Memorial, which I think the Wood might have been the week after. But nonetheless, I watched most of the big prep races, and I have no solid opinion about what's going to happen in this race. 20 horses wide open. Kate and Brader is going to help us analyze that when she comes on the show on Friday, and that will also feature the professor and, what could be, I mean, an even more insufferable Mike Mayo if the Panthers go down in
Oh
game
no,
number
they
2.
have to win game 2. I mean, I as excited as it was to have him on if we were up 2-0, if the Panthers are down 0-2,
Forget about it. We cancel the show at that point.
that'll be a total
Just pull the
joke.
plug on the whole thing. I don't think I can handle it. Yeah, no, it's okay. When you're wrong, you
Nah,
know, I mean, whole, idea of eating crow is one thing. I'm not sure that I really want to go out there and find some dead bird on the road and, start chewing on it. But, the taste is just as bitter if we're dead wrong about this particular thing. All right, Tony's going to join us in a little while. You know what? I'm thinking about this because I got the press release yesterday from Frank Fiore
nice.
about, I don't know if you want to jog down there for this, but I think I'm going to go down for the weigh-in. I haven't been around this kind of boxing scene for a while, and I used to love it, right? Because all of the fighters are there, and there's that anxiety. My friend Albert Davila used to tell me that, and this was the nicest guy that you would ever meet. Still is. I've spoken with him a couple of times this year. This was a former WBC bantamweight champion. One of the great sports stories. I've mentioned it a few times here on the show because really a remarkable sports story how this guy ended up being a champion. And his greatest moment of triumph after years and years of just toiling and getting screwed by the boxing organizations and rankings and different things and losing a couple of title fights in big spots. He was on the undercard of the second fight between Muhammad Ali and Leon Spinks at the New Orleans Superdome. But he fought many of the greats, including the great Carlos Zarate, and fought a lot, big arenas in L.A. The Inglewood Forum was a big place for boxing back then, and showcased all over the world. And he was always saying, you need a little bit of luck. If you're going to do any good in the sporting world, you could be as talented as anybody in the universe, but you're going to need a little bit of luck if you're going to have success. And then, of course, you have to hope not to get screwed by the blind Las Vegas judges that are in there with like German shepherds and canes. But greatest moment of triumph also turned out to be a tremendous tragedy as he finally won his championship. And the guy that he fought was a kid named Kiko Bahinas, who was a hotshot up-and-comer in Los Angeles. The people loved him. It was at the Olympic Auditorium, packed house there, where it was just a dynamite thing. And he ended up knocking him out in the 12th round after he was behind on all the scorecards. And Bahinas ended up dying after that fight. So think about that for a second. I mean, could you have anything come to that kind of head where things are, you're on one side of the ring, euphoric, you finally did it, and then you look across the ring, and there's a guy like lying there, and you don't know if he's going to get up, and he did get up, but died like a couple of months later. Just an absolute tragedy. So, very exciting, and it was always great being around like the weigh-ins and things like that. And he would tell me, Albert, that fighters go through, and he did in particular because he was such a nice guy. They go through a complete metamorphosis, like over the time between, say, the weigh-in and the actual fight, where you have to put yourself into an entire different mode of thinking, and get your mind set to go in there and look. He also told me, and this always hit me, and it stayed with me, that I asked him how he felt about like killing a guy in a ring in an interview that we did, and he said, "You know what? It could have been me." Right. Exactly. So, this is what, I'm not that you want to think along those lines, because you're certainly not anticipating that level of tragedy on a regular basis. And you've seen less of it in boxing in the last several years. I do believe that there was some, you talk about a positive rule change when they dropped. Now, you could say they shouldn't have it, period. But when they dropped championship fights from 15 to 12 rounds, you saw far less of this type of tragic damage that was being done to fighters in title fights. So it's going to be great, though. I want to go down to the weigh-in tomorrow. Or it's Friday, the weigh-in, and it's a press opportunity there, and you get to talk to everybody and see what's going on. But it's a weird buzz because it's kind of a shape up like a circus when you get the boxing people. Same thing with horse racing. When you have like a big race, it's always a lot of fun because people are coming from all over, and they're all hanging out. And at that point, they're still on their relatively friendly terms. And then 24 hours later, boom, they're standing there in the ring and ready to knock each other's heads off. So I think I'm going to go down there on Friday and bet the Kentucky Oaks, Hialeah Park. It'll be a lot of fun. Don't forget now, the card is Saturday. I'm thinking, I don't know if Andy's going. We have to check with him. He's on the chat line now.
The professor's all in. The professor is excited. Because my wife actually has no interest. So I was like, you know what? We haven't had a guy's day in a while.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
All in. And I haven't been to the fights in forever. So I'm in and the professor's in. So if we hopefully, Frankie, good morning.
And Frankie, we're snoring for tickets. I'm hoping he's watching or listening, Frank Fiore, because he's going to give me that look and go, well, how many do you need, Defo?
Exactly.
Oh, he's accommodating, though. I mean, could be a better guy.
I feel bad.
But, you're sort of like sheepish to go, we need 10.
Exactly.
10? No, I don't think it's going to be that high.
No, I'm accounting for 2. I don't know what you are going to
ringside there is just great. And I saw it again. I hope this is right. As we talk about it, if you book the weatherman's action, you're almost better off than booking the media's action.
Yeah.
And, even Mayo, who has the Panthers losing the series to the Washington Capitals, had them winning for sure last night.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show you, that we essentially know nothing. Now, the weather people have bright sunshine here in South Florida the entire day, Saturday. Not a cloud in the sky. So that's good because it's an outdoor event there. And while the ring may be covered, it's not necessarily the greatest thing if you're ringside to have it start pouring out. All of a sudden, the flash storm, which happened to my friend Davila, by the way. And I've told you this story. It was one of the craziest things I've ever seen in all my years of covering sports. And it happened to involve a friend of mine in a world title fight on the inauguration, I guess you would call it. They were introducing South Beach as an entity. All right.
Okay.
So they had just started to renovate some of these hotels. And I forget the name of the group that was responsible, but they decided to draw attention to the fact that South Beach was about to go through this vital transformation. Let's put a boxing match right on the beach. Which they did.
Okay.
Battle on the beach, yeah. So they had a couple of world title fights out there on the beach, of which my friend was in one of them. And in about the 5th round of the fight, a flash storm, one of those crazy summer storms comes.
Yeah.
And the lights are caving in, and the ring is shaking, and it's lightning, and everybody runs across the street there, across Ocean Drive to, seek cover under, the hotels outside. And then, it stopped raining. It was like a flash thing, lasted about 10 minutes. And now we all come back and they're still fighting.
No. Oh, they just kept fighting. That's great.
Well, what are you going to do?
I don't know. Run for
it's a world title fight. You're in the middle of it. How do you stop it? You can't.
Oh, my God. That's great. I love that.
I guess. No, when Fan Man hit the ring there in Las Vegas, when they used to have the outside thing at Caesar's Palace, they did stop that Holyfield Bow fight, and they shut that down for a while they cleaned things up. Remember, the guys were wearing like blankets in the corner there because it was freezing out that night in Las Vegas. It was like the wintertime, and they held that up for like 20 minutes. So I suppose they could have stopped it, but instead they kept fighting, and Albert ended up, he turned this guy around. The guy's name was Enrique Sanchez, and he was beating my friend Albert, who was kind of at the tail end of his career. And he was defending his championship that he had just won over Kiko Bejinas. And Albert said his gloves weighed like 40 pounds. So he turned the guy around into the rain and one shot and he knocked him out.
Wow, good for him. That's smart.
Yeah. So he got out of that thing in one piece. But that was crazy. So you don't want that to happen.
Well, but that's
at Hialeah.
Time where it rained, but it didn't.
It wasn't too bad. Yeah.
You don't feel it. Like it was literally on ESPN. And I remember watching Teddy Atlas and Tessitore were the ones calling the fight, and we're like, right, they didn't move, none of us moved. It was like the action was great, and the way they had it didn't feel like you were getting drenched. So even if the worst happened, it felt like they have a backup plan for it. However, I don't think that's going to happen. I think
the guys in the stands are okay. The guys that are in the grandstand, it was mostly just a ringside area there, but as they have the cover over the ring, so they can keep fighting, although that doesn't always necessarily work. But no, it's supposed to be a beautiful day. Frankie, you were blessed with a beautiful day upcoming, according to all weather reports, all advanced reports. Yeah, so bring your umbrellas. No, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's coming up Saturday night, Hialeah Park, going to be a blast. So this is what I'm looking at, Lubie, because the weigh-in is also in the champion simulcasting room area.
Nice.
All right.
There you go.
So I can go there and schmooze with all of my boxing
Yeah.
friends that I haven't seen in a long, long time.
Okay.
And there's nothing like that. I love the boxing circuit. Horse racing and boxing, my two favorite sports to cover, because you really get to know the people
Yes.
in the sport. As I've been discussing, I mean, I was like a neophyte reporter when I met Albert Davila and Little Red Lopez, and got to hang out with a lot of great champions, and the most colorful trainer, to quote, ever in boxing history, the late, great Benny Giorgino. Look him up, man. If he isn't the prototype fight guy, that you would cast in any movie. I think he did appear in a few movies, but, he was a fight manager and trainer who was also a bail bondsman, was his main business.
That's great.
Very colorful character, though. Very colorful character. But it's great being around a game, and it's going to be a lot of fun, and you can really get close to the action at Hialeah Park. So it looks to me like champions punch away from my usual Friday gambling session there on the ponies, and, no better place than Champions Simulcasting Room. Catch the weigh-in and all of that activity, and then hang around for a while and start betting the jugheads at night.
Pretty much.
Maybe visit the casino, take a shot there, because I've had some luck in the past. Get something great to eat. Hialeah Park, beautiful place. Saturday night, get your tickets, hialeahpark.com or at the box office there. And when you get there, get a player's card, try the casino. Steve Calabro will be very happy to see that you're just, yet another person that has gotten introduced to what a great, great atmosphere they have at beautiful Hialeah Park. All right, coming back with more. Wow, we've been schlubbering a little bit here, and a lot more to get to here on the program. Golden State and Ja Morant and Memphis last night. Wow.
Ja Morant, boy.
That was something, wasn't it? I mean, have you ever seen anything like this?
That guy's great.
The last few games, of course, against the Timberwolves, and it wasn't like he was always having tremendous success throughout the game in that Timberwolves series. But at the end of the game, he was the man. Now, he misses the layup in game number 1.
Yeah.
Although, it's not like, this was a layup line and, he bricked one.
Yeah, Klay Thompson on him, and I think he had like someone else trailing, and he was going full speed in the last seconds. I mean, it wasn't an easy layup.
I hated the layup line. I really did.
I
kind of like that thing of getting out there like the Globetrotters, and you circle around and you warm up a little bit. I'm not a big guy on warm-ups anyway. I would much rather have just chucked a few from like 30 feet. But, I was a very poor layup shooter for a long time. I mean, a very poor layup shooter. For a good shooter, I was a very poor layup shooter. I left off the wrong leg on the right side. So I eventually had to just start because I couldn't jump off my left leg as a spring.
Okay.
So I ended up shooting most of my layups left-handed, which I actually got pretty good at.
Okay.
Because I'm going off my right leg. I hated the layup line, but I mean, if you're bricking layups, right? That's one thing. But Morant was under immense pressure. And then last night, wow, these numbers are worth. I wrote them down, Lubie. That's how impressive they were. And this doesn't begin to tell a story because this was on a series of spectacular shots that we haven't seen since like Connie Hawkins. I mean, and this is a small guy. 47 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists last night in the Memphis win over Golden State. And that to offset Steph Curry, who had a good ball game with 27.
Yep.
Your aforementioned Klay Thompson was like in a bit of a brick mode last night.
He hasn't been great. He's struggled to find his footing since he's come back.
No pun intended, right? With the ruptured Achilles.
There you go. Yes, I was not jabbing at that.
Isn't that weird? Like how a guy, could endure all of that arduous NBA play and then get hurt like in a pickup game, and it's an injury that clearly seems to have had a long-term impact on his ability to shoot the rock.
Yeah, yep.
Klay Thompson, he was not very good last night. But that Ja Morant, that was such vintage stuff. You could have taken 10 plays of Ja Morant's efforts last night and made them the top 10 plays on SportsCenter, and nobody would have cried that you missed the bicycle kick in some obscure soccer game that was taking place in Colombia.
Exactly. There you go.
Do they pander to soccer people on ESPN, or is it that I'm missing the boat on that? With apologies to Ray Hudson, our good friend, who I love dearly.
I mean, soccer's vastly more popular than, when I was a child. I don't know if it's as popular as hardcore soccer fans want you to believe. It's still, to me, niche.
It's improved its popularity and presence. Oh, sorry, Libby. I was going to say, it's improved its popularity and presence here in the United States?
Yes.
Gambling.
Oh, Hasn't heard it.
People like to make like 20-team soccer parlays, all unders.
Are insane.
All unders. I saw a guy hit one. Big Al's cousin or whoever is like total degenerate. I mean, talk about a shot fighter when it comes to being a degenerate. He hit like a 10-team soccer parlay on all these wild international games. I mean, they were taking place in Slovakia, Romania, Bulgaria. It's like, who's betting on this shit?
Well, you found the guy.
And he had all unders. He plays all unders. Whatever teams, the games that he's betting, all unders. 10-team parlay, and he hits it for he had like 2 sticks on it or something, and it ended up paying like $248,000.
Jesus.
Which he quickly saw evaporate the next day as he continued to bet in this Michigan insane fashion. All right, Tony Segretto's coming up. Hialeah Park, going to be there. I'm coming down to the weigh-in, Frankie. I want to see everybody at Hialeah Park. I haven't been there in a little while, so looking very much forward to that. And then Saturday night we'll be at the fights. And let me know what the final tally is there.
I have 2 people. Andy says he may be in. You sort of invited him, so I wouldn't disinvite him. So
yeah,
I guess that's a third person. Whoever else you want. I mean,
that's probably just going to be me. So
accommodate. You know, like sort of a GNO, a guy's night out. You know,
all right, well, 4 isn't overdoing it, is it? 4?
No,
If I said 4 to Frankie, would he say, "What are you playing, golf, Defo?" I mean, I got 2 for you, and that's it. What do you want?
No, I
got the mayor in town.
Like
He's got ambassadors. Everybody that ever spoke a word of Spanish is going to want to be there. And they're all bugging Frankie for tickets, I'm sure. Right. But very reasonable, though. I think it might be. I mean, boxing can go any kind of price range, but if you're getting into a card that has this many fights on it and it's going to be this much of a spectacular setting, and it's costing you like $30-$40, that's a good deal, man, on a sporting event compared to what you're seeing. Where sometimes you'll watch. Well, which game was it? Where was it? The Celtics in Game 1 that shot like 4 for 38 or something from 3-point range. I mean, that's dreadful to watch. Dreadful. I mean, you could go to the park and see better shooting than that.
Honestly,
that's insane. So I mean, you're going to get your money's worth if you head down there for the boxing at Hialeah Park. All right, Tony Segretto is in the wings there, and he's going to join us for a little old school. That's brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants and Catholic Health Services. Tony usually has an opinion on the Derby. You think he's looked over the field, Tony?
I would think a little bit. A tad.
He goes secret underground, Tony, because Tony will do some consulting. Have you noticed that?
I guess I have.
All of a sudden, like he's texting Baffert, hey,
that's
which one of your horses has the juice, Bob?
He's like inside with the real, like Pletcher's, like
a
friend of a friend that he hung out with, so he can just reach out. Yeah, I mean, he's Segretto.
Pletcher calls Segretto and says, Tony, I heard something about the 2. All of a sudden, Tony comes on the show and he's going, well, I really like the 2 horse here a little bit. Like 2 horse? What are you talking about, Tony? Are you out of your mind? And sure enough, I came very close to owing Tony about $2,300 that one year. And I almost booked his exact bet.
You're like, be wrong.
Well, I mean, I knew not to answer the phone. Look, this is should be for Degenerate Friday, but everybody's been through this process where, a guy calls you while you're at the track, and our theory, and I think it should be like the First Amendment to the Constitution should have been, when you go to the racetrack, bring your own money.
Yeah.
Bring your own money, okay? And then if you are at the racetrack and you brought your own money, see, now, do I bring money to bet for you? Unless you said, hey, Defo, I'm going to give you $100, man. Go down there and bet it on a 4-horse for me.
There, and I know that you're there. How can I give you? I mean, I guess nowadays with Zelle.
You couldn't, but I mean, the point being that, when you're at the track, the last thing you want to do is be betting money for other people.
Oh, no.
You just don't want to do it, okay?
It's just a lot. What do you mean at the Derby when I had like 20 different bets and I'm sitting there at the lady and I don't know what I'm doing? And there's like 6 different people. That was the most moment.
Oh, yeah. And then you give it to some amateur to call it out at the window there, where the teller is only there because he's been with the union for 67 years. He hasn't moved a muscle since Calder was, opening up on opening day in the 70s. And you're calling off these complicated bets, which you don't even know, like the vernacular of it. And then he's like, what track? What track? And you're thinking, well, what track? I mean, Churchill Downs, right? That's where they have the
Exactly.
Derby.
Yes, exactly.
Anyway, Tony got some info from Hank Goldberg, and all of a sudden he calls me, and I picked up the phone because it's Tony, right? You want to talk to Tony Segreto, don't you?
Yes.
Right? Usually provides a little bit of a spark of good cheer, and no matter
Really
what the
good.
situation is, you could be in the most dire of straits, and you get a call from Tony Segreto, and you go, okay, it's Tony.
Yes.
Thanks, Tony, for cheering me up. But he says, hey, can you bet me a couple of bucks here? And this wasn't quite like when Footy asked me to bet 10 grand on that proposition bet on the Super Bowl halftime show. Like, okay, Footy, I've got 10 grand in my pocket right now. And guess what? I don't need any of it to bet for myself. I'm going to bet it all for you on some Meshuggah principle that Katy Perry is going to open up the halftime show with the song Roar. And what bookmaker is going to take 10 grand on that prop bet when they know that the only reason that you're betting it is because you had somebody at the practice? Come on.
Exactly.
You can read right through that. But he asked me to bet like a $20 exacta, and they got split, or I would have owed, and I was thinking about booking it. I did bet it. But his horses got split by like a nose hair. Otherwise, I would have owed him $2,500 if I booked that bet. Now you have to say, well, Tony, I got shut out. I never got to bet it. Which some people, if you're really unscrupulous, would tell the guy that won the $2,500 that he got shut out and keep the money.
Yeah, well, good luck with that.
That is low.
Nah, you're not doing that.
Don't betray your best of friends.
Nah,
it's not a good thing to do.
That's good.
All right, coming back with Tony. Among our best of friends here on the program, of course, it's Old School with Tony Segreto, brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants, Catholic Health Services. I was going to say, when I was playing tennis with my son, this was about an hour ago, they had a great steak special. I mentioned this to Ed Garcia when he was on the show a couple of weeks ago. And it was like a really nice looking steak for like $15.99. And I'm thinking, wow, that's some special. And then I realized that's like the everyday price.
Every day.
And it comes with more stuff at Texas Roadhouse.
Yes.
So, wow. Tony's the only guy, too, that could make you think about constantly having a piece of fresh baked bread.
Yes.
Right? Does that not stick in your head? Yes. Fresh baked bread, Tony Segreto. All right, he's coming up next here. Speaking of fresh baked, and we'll come back with Old School with Tony Segreto in a moment here on the Defo Show. Now that
the time
7:59.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs unmatched, steaks hand cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
What we gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto, brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
Welcome back to the show, the Defo Show. Jeff Deforrest and one Mike Lubitz. And wow, look how fresh and ready to go this gentleman looks. Early in the morning here. Looks like you're originating from your digs in Vermont. Very handsome and talented Tony Segreto joins us here on the program. Tony, how are you? You look great, kid.
I feel great. Good morning. Listen, for you to say handsome and talented, wow. It's worth getting up early, right?
Well, I don't
Just
know.
to
You know,
hear that. My goodness gracious.
I woke up, in need of a standing 8 count this morning. I have to
Yeah.
admit, but
Yeah.
I have been having a good time. All right, Tony.
What a
This
great
is.
day, right? We got Derby week coming up, and
Oh yeah. Now, are you back again? I was just telling a story before you came on about how I almost booked your bet there when you had.
yeah,
And it was a horse that the name began with a B. I'm not sure if it was a Derby. I think it might have been a Preakness, but you had some kind of tip from Hank Goldberg, who you are you consulting Hank again? How's he doing,
I
by the
have
way?
not. I have not talked to Hank this week. I have not. I do owe him a phone call. I did talk to Frankie Fiore the other day, and he's
Are you heading
excited.
down to the boxing? Oh no, you're in
No,
Vermont.
you know,
By
I
the way,
can't.
what
I
am I talking
can't.
about?
I've got other commitments that day, but he's really excited about this boxing event coming up, and he should be. You know,
Yeah.
this is his deal. You know, and he's just Frankie does boxing and he does events that are just spectacular. His time, even before boxing, in the entertainment world, people don't know about, was remarkable. You know, I was actually in New York this past weekend, and when I had never seen it, and shame on me, my daughter's going, "Dad, are you kidding me?" We went to go see Jersey Boys on Broadway, and boy, there were some parts of that story that I had no idea were part of that. Did you have any idea that Joe Pesci played such a pivotal role in their success? Did you have any idea?
Didn't realize that. I've seen the show, but it's almost a disgrace to say that with somebody as sophisticated and ethically balanced as Leslie Visser, we almost got thrown out of the show. We were getting shushed badly because we were singing the songs along with and the people didn't want to hear us.
Yeah.
Which I understand, but I'm not sure. I mean, Leslie wasn't inebriated. I certainly was using some performance enhancing drugs, but and the show was good. But we actually had security or whatever, the usher come over and say, "Hey, listen, man, if you guys don't can it, we're gonna have to toss your asses out of here." And then Leslie nearly got in a fight. I don't know what she. Can you imagine? She starts swinging at the old bag next to you. That was ratting us out. But
A little
yeah.
Ruth Buzzy right there, right? She's playing a little Ruth Buzzy.
Yeah, I mean, I think some purses. I know Leslie wouldn't be inclined to swing a purse. She just throwed a left hand right out there. Speaking of boxing, but yeah, so it was at the Parker Playhouse. A very sophisticated atmosphere, and we're getting tossed out on our ass. Unbelievable. But how did you like the show, Tony? It sounded like you got a lot out of it.
I absolutely loved the shows. My daughter and I, our son had to get back to work. It was a dad and children weekend in New York. So it was absolutely fabulous, just fabulous. So got to go to some great restaurants, spend some time with my kids, and it was.
Now, if you call Rayo's, do you get a table right away? Even though, like,
we did not go to Rayo's.
Have to wait like 8 years, to get a reservation there.
No, we did not go to Rayo's. We went to. We did our traditional. When I was small, well, not small. When I was younger, when I was able to drink, I remember my folks, and then they took me there. My folks used to always go to Sardi's. That was their hangout in New York, and it's a legend, as many people must know, or even if they don't, maybe not for now. But Sardi's is a legendary saloon drinking establishment.
Yeah.
And,
how's the food?
I've never eaten there. I have never eaten at Sardi's. I always go upstairs. Joe, the bartender's been there for 54 years, and know Joe pretty well. And we go up there and have a couple of drinks, and then. Went to what I think one of the great restaurants in New York is the Smith, and so it was great. It was fabulous.
TV, I'm at the hot dog stand there, and I look for the guy
with
the greasiest hands possible.
Can I tell you something? We are at the midnight hot dog truck in New York.
Yeah.
There's one hot dog truck that has amazing hot dogs. And they're the same price everywhere, right in the city, no matter where you go get it, whether you're on 48th Street. I love the truck. That's right across from the Waldorf. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And you sit there, there's a line always around the truck. So at midnight, we all went and got our hot dogs and enjoyed it. So it was great. You eat early enough so you can have another couple of drinks, walk the city, go to a show, and then when you get out of the show, you hit that hot dog food truck, man. And there's nothing better in New York.
Yeah, I like to go up to some guy that really looked like he was on the threshold of meeting his maker, and then, or had that Ratso Rizzo look, and then the stick with the mustard on it was my favorite thing,
Yeah.
where they would have the hot dog in a greasy hand, and then they had this thin stick like a rod. They dipped it in the mustard and then smeared it, and then the big question was onion.
Yeah.
And you had to decide whether you wanted onions on it or not, which I always did. So no, that was all great. All right,
Yeah.
I have to ask you this though, Tony, on the sporting front, and we have the great Tony Segreto this here. It's old school with Tony Segreto, and you are as old school as anybody when it comes to South Florida sports. We haven't had that many shining moments. We've had some. A couple of World Series, 3 championships with the Heat, 2 with LeBron, 1 before that. Don Shula, it's a long time ago. Don Shula and the Miami Dolphins had the perfect season, and then they won their last Super Bowl the year after that, 1973. Can you imagine, Tony? That's a long time. That's 49 years. That's a lot of futility. But we've had some great events here and some really good teams that showed a lot of promise. And now last night, and you're aware of this wager, Mike Mayo, Mr. Cynical, Mr. Insufferable. He's predicting that the Panthers, after a marvelous year, I mean, they couldn't have played any better as a team in any sport than they did this year. Dynamite at home, great on the road, highest scoring team in what was kind of a breakthrough year for scoring in hockey. They were the best of the best, firing 50 shots a night, at the goaltenders. And I mean, after the year they had, how could they possibly lose in the first round again, even though that's been their history since 1996 and that great run? But would this be the most deflating
Yeah, this would be
finish
tough.
of any
I'll
team
tell you
in
what,
South Florida sports history if they
it would-
lost to the Caps?
yeah, it would be pretty deflating, and what a great atmosphere last night. I had friends of mine that were at the game that were texting me, and it was I watched that game, and after that game, I switched to the Rangers game, which went
Oh,
for
wow. That went on forever.
over 4 hours. That was an amazing game.
See, I don't like that. I think they have to, maybe play one overtime period, regulation style. And that's 80 minutes of hockey, and then just
It's a
go to
lot
that
of
3-on-3
hockey.
thing. That's fine
Yeah.
with me. Just
Yeah,
decide the game.
I'm kind of with you, but I have to tell you, I love that game last night. And you know, you have to remember the Capitals. They're so good on the road. They're probably the best road team in the league,
They're
right?
the best road team.
And they handled the crowd, they handled the pressure, and I really don't. I just love the way we play. I love the way the Panthers play. And I still have, I'm very, strong on the Panthers, and I think they're going to bounce back. And to answer your question, yes, it would be horrible. It would be so deflating.
That's bad.
What would even be
especially after
close, comparison wise? I mean, I'm trying to think of a team that just
I
bombed.
would think that probably the very first Super Bowl that the Dolphins were in when they just got manhandled by Dallas. That remember they had a really good year, and they're in the Super Bowl, and I still see Bob Lilly chasing Bob Greasy, and I think that probably is one of the most deflating. I think the excitement, it was Miami's first Super Bowl, big opportunity, Shula, he came in on the big steed with the lance and said we're gonna set our ground here and we're gonna win Super Bowls. And to me, that at the time was probably the most deflating. And I have to tell you, the Rats don't fall far behind that, because the year of the Rat, man, that was an amazing team. Especially when you think that Johnny Van Beesbrook was in goal. Probably one of the all-time goalies in National Hockey League history. And the excitement around that team, the selling of the Rats, the throwing of the Rats, and even fans that were the fans of the Red Wings bought in. They're the ones who started it with the octopus, right? When they were throwing live octopus on the ice, how many years ago? And here we are in the year of the Rat. I think that was probably, to me, especially since that team especially had really. They were like the Strikers. They were like the Ray Hudson teams, where those players were just in the community. I mean, they were just all over. People loved them. People knew them personally. So that kind of fits into that world as well.
Oh no, that was great. I mean, There were zero expectations. I mean, they had done all
Yeah.
right for an expansion team, sort of been on the fringe
But
of
once they got there,
500,
Defo,
yeah.
Getting to the cup and then getting
Well, and I kind of got into it with my son. We started going to games just towards the end of that season. We started, I was divorced at the time, so he was living most of the time with his mother, and we got together as often as we could, and that became one of our things, going to these hockey games. So it meant a lot to us. In fact, we were talking about it last night. We were playing tennis last night, talking about how great it was to go down there. And there were so many different phases to it. I mean, you had that Bill Lindsay goal, which is still one of the most spectacular goals ever scored in NHL history, where he's literally parallel to the ice and somehow knocks the puck
Bobby
in
Orr.
there
It
for a
was
big winner.
like Bobby Orr. Remember the Bobby Orr great goal when he was with the Bruins? Was that
Yeah,
kind
I
of
mean,
goal?
you had that, and I remember the harassment of Barrasso, who was in the pipes there for the Bruins, right, in that series, and everybody's going, Barrasso, Barrasso, and then running to stores to buy plastic rats and finding out that they were out, and then running to another store just so you could grab a couple of rats.
Yeah.
It was fantastic, and then the flags were flying. Now, I was going to say, Tony, because I was doing my walk of life yesterday, and I was thinking, wow, the series begins tonight. I detect maybe I just don't get around as much, but like zero buzz about this thing, right? Like a couple of guys wearing Panther jerseys, but I'm talking about around town in general. The spark hasn't really been ignited, and then you know how this town is, South Florida, where as soon as you lose a game, all of a sudden the indifference sets in.
Yeah,
They're like,
yeah.
well, we knew they were going to lose anyway. That's what Mayo's thinking anyway.
Yeah, I kind of dismissed that anyway. So I can't talk about.
We're going to
what's
be eating
going on.
crow though, Tony. Mayo is going to be feeding it to us.
That's all right. That's okay. We're big boys. We're big
Yeah.
boys. We could handle it.
All right.
I would much rather be someone who's optimistic and happy about life than someone who's not so optimistic and cranky about life.
Yeah.
I still feel we're the winners here. But I have to tell you, walking around the streets in New York City,
Yes.
there was no
the
question.
Rangers. Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious me. And not just the father or the mother, or it was the entire family walking down the street with their jerseys on. It was incredible. Yankee hats all over the place. But even though the Knicks were out of it, we had Knicks jerseys on. The love, the sporting love in that town for their teams, regardless of what. Listen, they may. It's like getting angry with a family member. You may get angry at them, but you still love them to death, and that anger is just the passion you have for them. So whether the Knicks are in it or not, and wherever the Rangers wind up, Yankees wind up, it doesn't matter. The love for their teams is remarkable and shown throughout the city. It is fabulous. To try to get in to the stores that sell Yankee gear is next to impossible. Literally next to impossible.
Yeah, and it's great too because it still is a baseball driven town.
It really is.
I mean, obviously great appreciation for all sports, but and they do have the population to support that. But in a town without pity down here, Tony, I have to say, I did not sense.
Yeah, I get it.
I was in a bar last night after I played tennis, and it has a nice outdoor setting. Would be a perfect place. And you would think it's a sports-oriented bar in some ways, although, it has a lot of different variety of approaches. But, they also, right off a golf course. Wouldn't you have had some big promotion about
you would think.
in any other city that they would have been packed? You would have had to pay
Absolutely.
$20 to get a seat.
Absolutely. Without question. You would think that
There were two guys watching a game with us. That was it. Two guys. Yeah. So
it's too bad. All I know is that if you love the game, you're gonna find a place to watch it. You're gonna get excited about it. The one thing you talk about it being a baseball-driven town in New York. You go, it's not just New York. You got Chicago. You've got Boston. You got Philadelphia. You've got those places that were Cleveland. These people just live and die with their baseball teams. It's great to see. It really is.
Yeah, and to mention Yankees being in first place and on a roll doesn't hurt. I tell you what, here's a guy that's on a roll, and it could be one of those fresh baked rolls that you have everybody salivating for. I can't tell you, Ed Garcia, welcome to the show from Texas Roadhouse Restaurants. How many people come up to me and when they say, hey, I heard Tony's doing a show with you, on this new video audio streaming, which, is about 6 months in already. And as soon as I say, yeah, he's great. And they go, and that fresh baked bread. No one has made a bigger impression in any ad campaign than Segredo. But Ed, welcome to the show. Good to have you on.
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
It's a special. I think people don't understand, Ed. You know, the bread you have at Texas Roadhouse is made right at the restaurant. I think Lubie and I were still sort of, mouths open, not just because we were hungry for the bread, but watching the guy. Remember, Lubie, we went in the big mound of dough, and he's kneading this dough. The guy's forearms and triceps and biceps were like huge because that's what he does all day, right? Every restaurant makes their own bread, right, Ed?
Absolutely, yes. We make it from scratch, and it comes out of the oven fresh every 5 minutes. It takes a little bit of planning of 2 hours. And, I may have shared this once a long time ago, but I made a mistake probably about 10, 11 years ago. And, we lost power on one of the walls, so the oven didn't work. And I was like, well, you know what? Until I can get the electrician to fix it, let's go ahead and open without bread. It'll only be about an hour. Well, I'll tell you, it was like they were chasing Frankenstein. There were people with pitchforks, torches, you name it. They were coming after me. And they didn't want dinner. They're like, we came for the bread. And I was like, I didn't know what to say or do. So I learned my lesson. I will never open without bread again.
And here's the thing. Not only is the bread in of itself fantastic, but it's the honey butter that you make with it that just even Lubie just put his headsets on. Lubie, I swear, I think when the bread came and we were all there, Lubie and I just attacked the bread. Absolutely attacked it.
That's the tough thing. You have to put a limit on it. Say, I'm only going to eat 3 of these before the dinner comes. Yeah.
That's my problem. I'm an odd number guy and I don't count 1. So everything I have is odd numbers. So if I commit to 1, I've got to have 3.
There you go.
It is. So listen, Ed, I don't want to let this get away from us because we have a big day coming up Sunday, and tell us about Mother's Day and the promotions and all the different things that Texas Roadhouse is doing for the mothers.
Hey, I'm glad that you asked. Number one, if you don't have our mobile app, please download the mobile app. We're going to serve, probably at least over 2,000 people in each one of our restaurants that day. It is one of our busiest days, because everyone comes in with the family. We got to take care of mom, and celebrate, everything that she's done. But it is a great place. We do have a lot of large booths and tables to take care of you. I'll be honest, the waits are going to be 2, maybe 3 hours in some of the spots, but don't stress over that. The cool thing with the app, you can put your name on that wait and then wait at home or do some shopping or walk around, whatever you'd like to do. And you'll know what time to be at the restaurant, and we'll have that table ready for you. You sit down, have that fresh baked bread and honey cinnamon butter and a delicious meal. Now, if you're not, technology savvy, you can go online, put your name on that way as well as you can call the restaurant. However, there's going to be 2,000 people calling that restaurant that day. So the app is the easiest way to sneak in through the back door and ensure that you're going to have a great day for mom. Because that day we actually don't. Some take reservations early in the morning, but, that's typically not something we do.
Right. So you don't take – how early can they book a reservation on the app? Like if I wanted to go on the app today, could I do that, or would it be Friday?
Usually about right when the doors unlock or right before the doors unlock. So I'd start looking 10:45. It's going to vary per location. So I would call the Texas Roadhouse. Hey, what time do you open? Some open at 10 a.m. Some open at 10:30, just to kind of ease things in, because if not, it's like, going to a Yankees game. There's a line waiting outside for everybody to come on in. So, that's how it is. So it just comes in and it's full steam ahead.
And what will be the number one seller for Mothers and Mother's Day?
Actually the filet is very, very popular. We go all out for mom, and the filet, the chicken dish, we have this herb chicken that is absolutely fantastic. We marinate the chicken for over 24 hours. So it's nice and tender and juicy. Like you really taste this chicken, and we cover it with some really delicious herbs. And, I actually had it for dinner last night. I had dinner in Boynton Beach, and I had it with our, fresh made corn and a sweet potato. Oh, absolutely fantastic.
Oh, making me hungry already.
Sounds too good to be true. Yeah.
Yes, every
Gosh
time.
I mean, it's
almighty.
great. Ed Garcia, Mother's Day, terrific idea. People, in fact, I was talking about that with my son last night, where he was going to take his mom for Mother's Day, and we both came to the same conclusion.
Roadhouse.
Texas Roadhouse, great
Yeah.
idea, and he is computer savvy, so he'll be on that app and sitting there chilling at home.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
just
and,
that's the greatest way of doing it. That's what makes the app so great. I mean, you really can take advantage of it. So that, along with getting your mother up and getting her into a line dance, I think that's what's going to be critical.
That would be
Line
really
It'll be a lot of fun.
line dance of moms. I think that'd be what a great viral video. I can see it already. A Mother's Day line dance at Texas Roadhouse. Thanks, Ed.
All right,
Thank
get
you.
ready,
Have a good
Ed.
day.
Yeah, have a great day, and thanks so much for being with us
Yeah.
here on the show, Ed Garcia, man.
How awesome is that?
It's a good idea.
Yeah,
You know what?
yeah.
You don't want to get necessarily clobbered over the head. Somebody was telling me they were taking their mother out for a thing, and it was like I don't know, like $1.50 a head or something like
Right.
that gets a little bit pricey, you know. And
Your
you go
mother's
to
worth
Texas
it.
Roadhouse, right? And you feed a family of 4. I mean, this isn't that $100 steak I had at Gordon Ramsay. You know, it was on Jersey Kyle's ticket, of course, but you're talking
It's
about
just
like
wrong. I'm
ridiculously low
sorry.
prices. Yes,
$100 steak is just wrong. I'm sorry.
a la carte, Tony, a la carte, right?
Can I tell you
Now
something?
batting for the Blue Jays.
I
Tell them a la
live
carte.
I live not even maybe 2/10 of a mile from a working farm that sells everything from eggs to chicken to and they raise cows and they sell their meat and I can get a half a cow for what you spend for steaks at a restaurant, for goodness sake.
$100, man, on a steak.
Yeah,
Gordon
it's just-
Ramsay. That's Vegas, though. I mean, it's going to be a little bit of a gouge. Yeah, you know that. All right, Tony. We have a lot more ground to cover here with Tony Segreto, and we haven't gotten into a variety of different things. But you would agree then that this loss, if the Panthers lose the first round of the cap,
Yes.
down
yeah,
1-0,
yeah.
the series far from over. Obviously, I mean, it can bounce right back. Who knows? They might even win the next 4 games. It's very possible, but. Not a good way to start. As Lubie, Lubie is like Don Cherry here. Actually came up with the thing that normally the Panthers are firing the puck,
They're
and all of a
very
sudden they turn into a team of Victor Kozlovs last night, where you're
Yeah, they
screaming
were-
from the
they-
rafters,
they were weird.
"Shoot the puck! Shoot the
Yeah.
puck!"
Yes.
They were. I think I think that the pressure and what I saw the first.
Don't say in a moment.
interview-
The moment.
No,
the moment.
well, I was, but I'm not going to.
Ah,
The moment came
but-
and went.
But I remember. I love these interviews that they do between periods, right? And
Yeah.
sometimes they're.
No, they're good. I think they
Yeah,
are in the
but
hockey
I
games.
thought-
They are good.
I thought the one last night was, the guy from the Capitol said, listen, it took us a good half of the first period to get our legs, to get the anxiousness out, to kind of get into a rhythm. And he's on the road, and I have to think the same thing was, impactful to the Panthers as well. Only they never could get out of that. Could not.
Well,
get out
and
of
plus
that
the fact that
quicksand.
Mayo may have paid off the officials.
Ah,
I
Listen,
sat
don't
down. I
think-
look up at the screen. It's like 5-on-3 already. Wait a minute. What period is
Can
it?
you-
1
can
minute
you-
into the game, you're giving them a 5-on-3. Get out of here.
Knowing Michael Mayo, do you actually think he paid the officials?
Well, that's the
really?
thing.
If he could have, he would have. Trust me.
I love Michael, but he's not paying the officials.
He would have thought about it. All right, coming back with Tony, we had the draft we need to get into a little bit.
Oh
about
yeah,
what
that
happened
was
there.
exciting, huh? 4 picks. I couldn't.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I didn't mind with the Dolphins. It was nice to not have to go through all kinds of Michigan machinations about, why don't they take a linebacker? Because they got their guy. They traded their whole draft, essentially. This was like
They
a
got Tyreek Hill. That's who they wanted.
yeah, it was Ricky
They had-
Williams all
listen,
over again, man. I
yeah,
mean, they
they
traded
had-
their draft for Tyreek Hill.
They had the least amount of picks of any team in the league, and I mean, it is what it is. Let's see what happens. Let's see if all of those drafts give it up for Tyreek. It was worth it.
All right, hold those
That's
thoughts.
good
We'll
to
come
see.
back.
Yeah.
We'll talk some more about that. With Tony Segreto, old school with Tony Segreto. Thanks to Ed Garcia, as always, for coming on the show. He looks great, by the way, this guy.
Yeah, it's really good.
He's
Got
a
big
good
time
man.
career. I mean, he could sell anything. You get the feeling, and the sincerity, you can feel it just oozing through the screen there as he's talking about Texas Roadhouse.
He loves it. He loves
Yeah, he really is a
representing
great
and working.
ambassador for the restaurants
He
also.
really is. And he's such a good man, great father. I mean, just a wonderful guy.
Good guy all the way around. All right, we're coming back with another good guy, Tony Segreto. It's Old School with Tony Segreto, the Defo Show. That's Mike Lubitz, the world traveler. I'm Jeff Deforrest, pretty much content to be at home, and back with more in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:26. Poker is your game. You're covered in style. And you can play all your favorite Vegas-style games, including blackjack, craps, and roulette in Hialeah Park's sizzling hot casino. Get a player's card when you walk through the door for all kinds of generous amenities, including our favorite, free play, when you come out to the ultimate casino and entertainment destination, Hialeah Park.
These days, we're all looking for comfort anywhere we can find it. Thank goodness for Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill in the Plantation location, because they are making sure you are as comfortable as possible. You're going to have the best wings in the world. You're going to have a great burger. You're going to have their amazing soups. Again, Landlubbers Raw Bar and Grill. It's nice and easy. Just go to landlubbersbarandgrill.com for both your pickup and free delivery. Thank goodness for Landlubbers for making you always feel right at home.
Catholic Health Services is committed to care that changes as your needs do. Our full continuum of services is designed to be there throughout your care journey. If you need assistance with daily living, post-acute care following a serious health event, or additional medical care at home, we also offer skilled nursing and palliative and hospice care. Your care needs may change, but our commitment never does. Catholic Health Services, South Florida's #1 choice for post-acute and end-of-life care. Visit CatholicHealthServices.org.
Are we back?
The thing that I love about you, Tony, and we discovered this over time, although it took a while to kind of realize what the heck was really going on there. As distinguished as you are, and as many people as you deal with your various committees that you're on, Orange Ball, this, that, boards of trustees of universities, deep inside, I mean, lurks. I don't know that it's a sick degenerate, but there is a degenerate nature, and nobody loves college football. I believe next to women's softball, college football is really the most passionate sport that you're all about, Tony Segreto. Is that not correct?
I love it. I love it. Let's say we talk about being the intelligent degenerate, the one who doesn't say it out loud, but
those are mutually exclusive, my friend. There is no intelligent degenerate. If you're a degenerate, you've already shown a lack of intelligence or intellect.
Defo and Lubie love kicking it old school with the legendary Tony Segreto.
Welcome back to the show. Jeff Deforrest, Michael Lubitz, the Defo Show. We have Tony Segreto, our Old School with Tony Segreto, brought to you by Texas Roadhouse Restaurants and the great people at Catholic Health Services, some fine organizations backing Tony Segreto's appearances here on the program. All right.
I got my hand up.
Yeah, I'm like, why?
Yeah, what do you got?
Because I want to know that since you gave this entire soliloquy leading into this show today, how you hate betting for people when you're at the track. Am I to assume that if I want to lay some shekels down
for you,
Derby,
yeah,
you're going to give me.
No, I'll cover you, Tony.
We'll make it happen.
I'm not going to be footy and give you a $10,000 bet. For goodness sake.
Well, who do you like? I mean, have you looked at it at all?
Let me know. I'll make sure.
Any ideas
listen, sentimentally,
I have to decide whether to put the money in or book it. And then if I do book it, do I ask you for the money, and assume that you owe it to? Yes, because I would be taking a big chance there.
Yeah.
And I almost booked that bet. I on the life of my child, I almost booked that bet. And then I said, no, I better put it in because Segreto's got all kinds of crazy luck, man. Crazy ass luck this cat has.
Yep.
And sure enough, I mean, you just missed for $20 exacta box you wanted. You just missed for $2,500.
Yeah. So who do you like?
Well, I don't particularly like anything myself, but I am going to plagiarize a pick. I'm going to plagiarize a pick here. And this comes from the prophet of all purveyors of the future. And the king of all futures is my dear friend, whom you also know from Trivia Challenge fame, although he's vowed to come back and return pretty soon. He has some issues. The Polyman, Paul Massell, who is a brilliant handicapper. I mean, he missed his calling He should have been in these handicapping tournaments all along. He's been in a few. Now there's big money involved, but he sort of like, pulled himself out of that scene. And I know that this guy is as good as any of the people out there handicapping horses. And he had a series there where even Lubie cashed on Animal Kingdom at $40, where he had picked 3 out of 4 Derby winners. And this was a while back. And he likes a horse called Barber Road, not Barbaro, but Barber Road, who he feels is rounding into form and maybe has the ability to handle the 1.25 miles and what is a little bit of a different surface. I don't know if it's still that way, but it was always considered that the Churchill Downs Racing Strip had horses definitely that fit the phrase "horses for courses," if you know what I mean.
Yeah, listen, that's I love Paulie. I think he really does a good
It's
job.
a bomb at 30-1. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the ones that I really like is a 20-1. I love Smile Happy.
Smile Happy. That's you. I mean, come on. It was named for you.
Yeah, no, I kind of like that horse, and I like Mo Donegal. I mean, I think that at 10-1, I listen, Zandon at 3-1. What do they say in the last? Was it the last 10 years of the Derby, the early favorite has cashed 9 times.
That was after, it was a graveyard for favorites. I mean, you could toss the favorite in most derbies for a long time.
I'm not a big fan of Zandon. I like Donegal. I like Happy Smile. I like Messier. It's hockey season, and when you see
and
Messier,
who's on the screen last night?
Yeah,
Messier.
exactly.
Yeah.
Messier. So
that's an omen. That could be a sign from the gods, Tony.
Yeah, who knows? But I don't like the favorites. And if I'm gonna do something with you or do something with anyone, I would do, Happy Smile, maybe Paulie's pick at 30-1, because at that point, you figure, okay, I'm gonna throw some dough at this. If I'm going to throw dough, I'm going to throw dough where I can make some big dough.
Well, you won't be throwing too much dough on it because I'll be obviously having to carry that load. Although
I know. Well, I'm warning you now. I'm giving you.
Did you ever pay Gurgles the $40? Did you ever square that up with Gurgles?
Give them the $40.
I'm supposed to give
What
it to
don't you understand about this? We've gone through this 100 times. People,
this is from like 11 years ago, Tony.
I know.
You owe him the 40.
He told me to tell you to lose his number.
I'm still trying to get paid from you, for goodness sake.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, first of all, I got to ask real quick, Lubie, I did not hear the beginning of the show. Did you enjoy Greece?
Oh yeah, no, it was amazing, man. It was gorgeous. Like Santorini is it's literally like you're looking at it like, okay, is this real? Like it's the water, the mountains, the white buildings with the churches with the blue roofs. It's fantastic. And then Mykonos is really cool, the beach area, and we loved Athens, and the people are really fun, and they all seem to speak English a lot better than some of the people over here. So we had a phenomenal time, and the food was amazing. My wife and I, as Defo is always in awe of, are still on speaking terms, which is always a positive. So we had a great time, and I'm also happy to be back. It's a great combo of I like my life here so much that coming back isn't like a step down. It's like, oh, cool. We just keep rolling along. So really happy to keep doing what we're doing here, and had a great time in Greece.
Wonderful to hear. Good for you.
All good stuff. Yeah. No, he was
really
still watching sports on his cell phone.
Oh no, I still know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean he's watching the fourth round of the draft.
Yeah,
which you may as well have just moved to Baltimore for that. All right, so here are my things about the draft. There are some things I really love about draft coverage, and I want to say, Tony Segreto, and this relates to a degenerate story, that the televised draft coverage began in 1983. Which was the quarterback draft, of course, that featured Dan Marino and many others. The Jets taking Ken O'Brien to stunned disbelief.
Yep.
As Marino's still waiting on the board. Yeah, Elway and
Blackledge,
Kelly were in there. Todd Blackledge and Tony Eason. All right, 6 quarterbacks, and 3 of whom are Hall of Famers. Undisputable Hall of Famers, and so that was great. And the reason I remember that as being the beginning of it was I had plugged a tape recorder into the television set because I was supposed to be covering the Dolphins' reaction to things that were happening at the draft out at St. Thomas, St. Thomas University. And, I had a horse to bet at the track at Calder. So I stopped off at a friend's house, plugged in a tape recorder to the TV set, went and bet my horse, came back, and I actually had some sound, that pertained to the first round of the draft. So I took that back to the radio station. But over the years, there's nothing better than the stunned disbelief that you see on Jet fans' faces after they announce their pick. Correct?
Right.
I mean, it was
Oh, yeah.
commensurate with the Ted Ginn draft when, everybody thought Brady Quinn's name was going to be announced, and then it sounded like Brady Quinn, and everybody's like, what? Did he just say Ted Ginn? What the fuck? I mean, and that was the basic impression everybody had. Now, it turned out they actually made a more valid pick, but I mean, what are the things that stand out? Because the Jet fans this time had reason to celebrate. Where many people feel that they kind of aced what went on, especially in that first round of the draft.
I'm going to pull the curtain back on something. And I yesterday I had the pleasure of for Orange Bowl. We do these things for Orange Bowl called the Orange Bowl Huddle, and they're like a 20-minute video where I interview different people and we talk about Orange Bowl. So yesterday I had the pleasure of spending time with Jonathan Vilma, who I have known Jonathan since he was like 18 years old, and just a fine gentleman, just a really fine gentleman,
very sharp dude.
Yeah, really sharp.
A few times.
And he tells his story. We're talking about the draft, and he tells the story. And again, this is going to all be in, in the Orange Bowl when we release this video. We'll post the link for everybody who watches and listens to us because it's fascinating. He talks about how he was flown up to different clubs for interviews, right? First club he goes to is St. Louis, and he gets to St. Louis, and he walks in the office and they sit him down. And they go, I really don't know why you're here. and he goes, well, you flew me up. He goes, yeah, but there's no way you're going to be around by the time we choose in the first round. None whatsoever. You're not going to be around. So he says, oh, okay. So that interview's over, and he goes and he goes to Washington, right? And he walks into the office, and they ask him about himself and why he'd want to be a Redskin at the time before the Commanders, obviously. And that lasts about 5 minutes. And for the rest of the hour and a half he was there, they wanted to know about Sean Taylor.
Oh, geez.
Oh yeah, wow.
And that's how he spent his time. So from there, he goes to New York and he sits with Herm Edwards, and he gets the sense. He gets back to Miami, and first of all, he gets with Sean Taylor and says, "Hey, man, you're going to be drafted by the Redskins." He goes, "How do you know?" He goes, "Well, I went up there, and for the hour and a half I was talking to them, 5 minutes was dedicated to me, and the other hour and 25 minutes was dedicated to what kind of guy you were."
Yeah.
He goes, and it was just a wonderful story. It kind of tells you what it's like for these young men. Kind of getting a sense of where they may not wind up. And then the big surprise comes, like, where did that come from? But I think that this draft was, as you put it, we didn't have to worry about a lot of stuff. I think that a lot of people, it was interesting. If you look at the draft guys, the Kuipers and all these people who allegedly are the experts, there are some who think the Dolphins were, amazing with the 4 picks they did. And they had, and there are some that go, it was kind of, what you would suspect. But I guess Tyndall is like the big guy. It was the steal for them to be, to get him when they did. So, we'll see what happens. But it was a draft where I never got a sense of this draft. You know how you were talking about the Panthers in the town? I never got a sense with this draft that there was a whole lot of buzz.
Well, no, there wouldn't be.
There wasn't anybody like, or there wasn't somebody.
Nobody cares about the 3rd round pick, except maybe Orlando Alzagari.
Not just the Dolphins, but I think overall, as for the draft.
There's no glamour though if you're not drafted somewhere. I mean, for the last few years now, due to the tankology philosophy, they've been drafting very highly. Yeah, and they would have had a high pick again this year, I would imagine, because they had a couple of 1st-round picks. But I'm okay with the fact that they traded that all for Tyreek Hill. It may not work out, but I like the move. It's aggressive.
Yeah,
it's
I do
the kind
too.
of thing that we haven't seen a whole lot of, especially not with intelligent thought patterns behind it. So I'm okay with all of that. But
me too. I think people just want to see him. I think people just want to see him line up now. I think people want to get a sense of having everybody on the field. We've talked about it enough. Tua's, kind of a renaissance for him, and, new coaches, and, the excitement around the club, and with Tyreek Hill, and, we have all seemingly all the pieces in place, especially with, an offensive line that seems to be, is going to be a lot better. So let's see if this excitement is true. Let's see if it's worthwhile.
You'd be the perfect guy for this. In fact, your name was mentioned yesterday when John Kajemi was on with us, as we were talking about, and the magic question, of course, is now 17 games, Tony, and the number has been posted at 8.5, which I thought was low because I would have thought 8.5 over under for the Dolphins. I would have been inclined to go over 8.5 if it was a 16-game season. So I'm looking at that number and thinking, well, what am I missing here? The people who make these kind of numbers for a living, who are very, very good at it, are not seeing the same overwhelming enthusiasm for what the Dolphins did. Obviously, if they're putting him at a modest, I mean, you have to decide, are they going to win 8 or 9 games this year? And John's point was that the AFC East is going to be so challenging, and it leads to a couple of things. Is it going to be too much for this current Dolphin roster? You would think not, to conceive of them beating Buffalo once or, New England. And then what planet of players, what planet are the players on that Belichick is drafting? Because, all of those experts that you were talking about, they would speculate, various things about what the New England Patriots were going to do. And then Belichick picks a guy that, was out of Faber College or something. It was like nobody's ever heard of the guy. And that's their first-round pick. And yet, he's one of the, is he losing it? Or, he's one of the most astute guys at sort of revolving draft picks in and letting veterans go, but while they still have some shelf life. And his picks were bizarre compared to anybody else's.
Yeah, and last year was a kind of a year for the Patriots, and
I thought they were okay. Look,
they were fine. They were, nothing great, but
this quarterback looked like the second coming of Brady to me. He really did. I don't know if he went the distance doing that, but he looked very, very promising to me.
Yeah, I love that kid. And listen, I'm not sure where Belichick's coming from. I think what's happened is with the Patriots that they're of the belief that their culture, what they have going on in that locker room, is so strong and so foundationally solid. Yeah. That they can bring pretty much anyone in and have them adapt to that and become a good placeholder player for that position for them. Okay. So they are so all about the cohesiveness of the team without a star that's how he drafts and that's how he develops his team. The Brady thing was, sort of, it just developed. When they drafted Brady, was he a star? Was he a stud? No. Who would have ever thought? He goes in and replaces Drew Bledsoe, and boom, there you go. It's history. So I don't know. I love what Miami has done. I love the town enthusiasm. Again, I hope it's not a hollow one. I talked about what the enthusiasm and the excitement down at the University of Miami, and talking with Jonathan yesterday, we both agree that this is the most solid piece of enthusiasm that we've had at that university in terms of football, and how it's not just football. It's when you have a Dan Radakovich sitting in the AD chair, a guy who's been there and done that, a guy who knows the university, who knows the area, who's strong, who's going to make all the other sports better too, but understands football is the flag bearer. I think when you put all those pieces together, there's reason for, legitimate excitement down in Coral Gables too.
Holy Sam Jankovic, man. You had me getting excited about this whole thing again. I'm hoping all of that is real. I
am too.
Sincerely hope that all of that is real. It's about time. And, you have many other very positive developments happening here in South Florida. When something is overhyped, it seems to me that it becomes a disappointment. But there are a lot of people. And I don't know, is Nevin Shapiro out of the can now? And he somehow came into some more money, because a lot of transfers are coming to the University of Miami as their preferred joint. And there was some speculation, Tony. Who is this billionaire guy that is now a big backer? Is he being influential with maybe a little,
I think
conveyor belt full of cash to influence some of this stuff?
Here's what I think. I think that when you bring a coach in like Mario, and the coaches he's brought in, and you have a Jason Taylor there, and you have, an Ed Reed there, and you have a program that's hot, and you have a great location, and you have players there who are calling some transfers up and go, hey man, this is great here. I think that's how it plays into it. And I think that when you have great coaches and when you have, a program that seems like it's, the Phoenix, it's going to be resurrected, you want to be part of it. And that's my honest, heartfelt belief. I think Miami is going to, I think it's going to be fun to watch them play. I really
You think
do.
Nick Saban is laughing at all of this? When he reads this stuff in the paper and hears it speculated upon online?
I don't think he cares.
That Miami's back. You think Nick's going, watch this?
No, I just
at quarterback at St. Thomas Aquinas. No. Guess where
I
he's
don't
going?
think. I don't think that coach. I don't think coaches think that way. I just don't. I really don't think that way.
You have a higher opinion of these people from a psychological
I just think they can't be. I just think they can't be bothered. They're not going to be bothered by that. They're worried about their place. They're worried about their guys. Listen, they're worried about keeping their guys intact. Listen, with what goes on, with
transfer portals and all of that? Are you kidding me? Come
what goes on in this world? Are you kidding me? What's going on in this world right now? Listen, Alabama.
You don't think Nick's got somebody digging up dirt on this Ruiz cat right now as we speak?
No,
no. That's my cynical mind. I'm turning into Mayo here on the show.
Yeah, you are just. I couldn't.
I'm just.
All I know is I couldn't hang around you more than 5 minutes, and I'd get up and leave because I'm going, God, how cynical can you be?
Unless we were at Texas Roadhouse.
Can you be? Yeah, Texas Roadhouse.
I just, I'm just painting a portrait of, a desperate Nick Saban who probably would stop at nothing to continue winning, and he has to think no matter what they do in Miami, this is a joke. I got Alabama going here now. Does Georgia, also has, think about it. They win the championship, and they put 15 guys into the draft.
That's a record.
Which is incredible. I mean, Miami. I remember when Miami would have 6 guys in the first round, and then maybe 10 overall.
It's funny. We were talking with Jonathan yesterday, and the year he was drafted number 1 by the Jets, that was the year Vernon Carey was drafted number 1.
You mentioned Sean Taylor,
Sean Taylor. I mean, it was. I think we had 6. I think we had 6 guys. Yeah,
no, that was with the days.
First round as well. Yeah. So
I hope.
I think Miami's going to get it back. I really do. I'm very excited. I'm very encouraged. And I'm not saying, hey, people run out and place bets and all of that. All I'm saying is there is a reason to be excited. I think that the building blocks are in place, and that it's going to take time. It's not going to come overnight. With the Dolphins especially, I can't stress enough. We're going to talk about this ad nauseum when preseason starts. If they lose a preseason game, everybody's going to go, here we go again. It's not. I want everybody to remember, and I'm telling it, we're gonna precursor it now. The year they went undefeated, if I recall correctly, they did not have a really good preseason. So let's just keep everything in mind that, it's time to look at guys, make things work, see what does, what doesn't work, and we move on.
It's going to be funny when I train my binoculars on that, banner dragging plane that says Tua sucks, and there's Tony with a little leather pilot's hat on. All right, Tony. Catholic Health Services. Let's talk about.
I'm glad. Hey, Lubie.
We agree on 100%. No, I don't know.
I feel
you're going to be the first to turn. What are you talking about?
I feel like when I come on here, I should wear, the gear that the
Teflon.
Police officers.
Tools of ignorance. Yeah.
Teflon.
No, the kind. No, the Teflon. Yeah, but the type of gear that the officers wear when they train their dogs.
Yeah.
When they train the dogs, they
have
all
the dog.
The padding
Okay.
and the gear.
The big gloves,
yeah, that's what I need to have on here. It's just like, okay,
here, chew on this, Arnie.
Yeah, beat them up. I feel like the Hootie, the Hooter.
I'm just making suggestions, Tony. Just a few suggestions. I don't know. I see evil coming from Nick Saban.
You
to the
see
extent
evil
that
coming from everywhere. You see evil.
No, I like Mario Cristobal. I never
see
this Ruiz guy. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on about this, Tony. Tell me you're not reading about how the NCAA now, and we need to talk about Catholic Health Services, but we'll get back to this. The NCAA, I was just reading an article. They're like, oh, wow, we can't control this name, image, and likeness thing, but we're going to have to intervene here.
How?
Of course not. So boosters, that's their big concern. Boosters are spending tons of cash, and oddly, coincidentally, this billionaire guy who was going to build his own stadium happens to be luring a lot of people out of the transfer portal
Hey, Lubie,
and saying, here's 100,000, endorse my hot dog stand or whatever that is.
Defo would walk into a Dairy Queen and go, this isn't, they're getting ice cream from Carvel. That's what they would do. This isn't Dairy Queen.
He ripped off the concept. I mean, that's plagiarism. Catholic Health Services, Tony.
Rip off anything.
If you will. I mean, let's talk about something that everybody is in complete accord about.
Here's the thing. This is the one thing that Defo and I are good. First of all, we're great friends and we laugh a lot. And we have, this is our version of Abbott and Costello here.
Checks in the mail today, by the way, Tony. Checks in the mail today. Just got all of his capital.
Yeah. That's what we, Lubie sent it, so I know it's in the mail. One of the things we do agree about, and we agree about it wholeheartedly, and we talk about this from our heart. We don't talk about it because they're a sponsor. We don't talk about it because, they've been with us from day one. We talk about it because what they do every day is truly incredible, remarkable, life-changing. It is, I can't tell you again, my wife again, another family member, a really, really close family member is in the hospital. To get to a doctor, it has been now 3 weeks for them to get any kind of answer. And when you deal with Catholic Health Services, that doesn't happen. This is about staying totally informed with your family so you know what's going on with your loved one. And when we talk about Catholic Health Services, we're talking about anybody who needs any kind of rehab. And when rehab happens, it impacts the entire family. We talk about this, right? Defo, I mean, the entire family is impacted because whether it's a hip, a stroke, a shoulder, whatever the case might be, these things, the whole family gets involved. And how can we get involved? And this is what Catholic Health Services does so well each and every day, 24/7. They make people better, probably quicker than they normally would have ever imagined themselves getting better. They keep the family involved with extraordinary people, extraordinary facilities, passionate people, from the doctors to the therapists to the nurses to people who bring them their food, for goodness sake. They're all about doing it right every day, and taking the time to be involved with every patient that comes in so they know who these people are, not just by looking at a chart, but by talking to them, knowing their children, keeping them alert, keeping their minds moving so they're not in this funk and all of a sudden get this sense that I'm in a hospital, I'm in a rehab facility, I feel different. I'm telling you, if you know anybody who needs rehab, anybody who's looking forward to what we need to do to keep ourselves healthy, get a hold of Catholic Health Services. And again, listen to me, but listen to Defo, who's had an experience with them already with his mother at the worst time that you could possibly have an experience with a group of people. And he will tell you how amazing they truly are. Catholic Health
would have been lost without these guys. Literally, it was so futile, Tony, dealing with the hospital and the various doctors. And a guy calls you in the morning, and then you call back, and they tell you it doesn't work there anymore, and it was just crazy.
Yeah.
And the misinformation is the worst. I mean, it's one thing to get nothing, but then they tell you all kinds of cockamamie things that they just want to cover their tracks and not have people calling the switchboard all day complaining. And Catholic Health Services came in, they intervened, and that was it. I mean, it literally was a night and day difference. And you sense that they actually cared about the patient and about the people that they were communicating with, which was, really, really, I mean, the best for my brother. I mean, you talk about irascible. For my brother David to say this was the best, most efficient organization he has ever dealt with in Florida. I mean, and he had so much frustration with this stuff. That is a resounding endorsement. Trust me, Tony, when I tell you. I'm going to use your phrase. Trust me when I tell you. Yeah, that is the truth. All right,
it is the truth.
Yeah. All right, we're going to come back and wrap things up. Old School with Tony Segreto. A couple of minutes to go here, so stick with us. And we'll return in a moment on the Defo Show. Mike Lubie Lubitz, Jeff Deforrest, the great Tony Segreto. Old School with Tony returns in a moment. Now that.
The time.
It's 8:55.
Tony Segreto here. Let me ask you a question. What do you look for when you go out to eat? Good food, obviously, friendly atmosphere, not too loud, but good energy, reasonable prices, and a place where you feel comfortable. You're talking about the Texas Roadhouse. Good for a family, good for a date, or just a night out for yourself, and prices that will make you extremely happy. Their ribs, unmatched. Steaks, hand-cut every day. Everything, and I mean everything, is made on site, including their incredible bread. Trust me when I tell you, Texas Roadhouse, your restaurant, your destination when you say, where should we go and eat tonight?
From the newly renovated sports bar to the beautiful bayside views captured at the Tiki Bar, Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill has it all. Located at mile marker 104, the Big Chill also offers waterfront dining while experiencing breathtaking sunset views of the Florida Keys. It's simply the hottest spot in the Keys to cool off. That's Jimmy Johnson's Big Chill at mile marker 104 in Key Largo. For more information, call today at 305-453-9066.
Any time of year, things can happen to your home or business, and the insurance company can be your friend, but they also can be your enemy. Horizon Public Adjusters, Justina Testa, are here for you to help this process go so much easier. 7 to 10 times more money recovered with a public adjuster than if you went on your own. If there's no recovery, there's no fee. Before you call your insurance company, call Horizon Public Adjusters and Justina Testa at 954-809-8752.
Obviously, the people here know you very well, Tony Segreto. You were ingrained in many people's childhoods here, and they followed you and evolved with you over your 40 years on TV here in South Florida, and everybody loves you. And by the way, you still look the damn same, like
you're like frustrated
in the background on a Mickey Mouse Club or something. I mean, and I know you're close to like Cubby or one of those guys, but
Cubby O'Brien.
How is it possible? What are you using? Are you shooting Botox? Are you using that serum from that cantaloupe, Dr. Savant? Because pictures of you look very much the same, Tony Segreto.
Why do you think I'm up here? There's an elixir right here in my in the woods that I have.
You find oil, you're like the Beverly Hillbillies up there. Fantastic.
Exactly. We're on the Dick Clark, Ryan Seacrest diet, whatever that is. Yeah.
We are now kicking it old school with the one and only Tony Segreto. Brought to you by Catholic Health Services and Texas Roadhouse.
All right, welcome back to the show. A couple of minutes to go here of Old School with Tony Segreto, Mike Lubie, Lubitz, Jeff Deforrest, the Defo Show, and Tony Segreto coming to us from Vermont today. So that couldn't have been you. I thought I saw you yesterday. I was on the beach. It was very windy, and a guy is kite surfing near, like close to the horizon. Okay. That's a rough thing. I knew it wasn't the Polyman, so the aforementioned Polyman with Barber Road, unlikely to be seen kite surfing. That looks like fun, but I can't imagine, getting started before you really know how to do it. You would have to be pretty sharp. Otherwise, you end up impaled to a building somewhere, and all of a sudden you're on 4D of one of the condos along the beach. All right. I have to run this by you. A couple of minutes left here, Tony. So, give us your synopsis on this, because we've talked about it a lot. I believe that Joel Embiid, with 4 minutes to go in the clincher against Toronto, and I know, it's hindsight and all of that, and you can't anticipate necessarily that a guy's going to get hurt. But up 29 points, a situation that in over 2,500 previous occurrences has never resulted in a loss for the team that was up 29 with 4 minutes to go. Wouldn't you have preferred, if you were Doc Rivers, to pull like Iverson or Dr. J out of the stands and have him stand in the post, one of those guys, instead of Joel Embiid, who'd battled injuries throughout the series? It looked like it was going south on you, and you were going to hold the, very, very ugly distinction of being the only team ever to blow a 3-0 lead in a series, because Toronto came back, looked pretty good in those two games, and you thought they were going to force a Game 7. They get hammered, but in the process, he loses Embiid to an injury in the final 4 minutes, and I couldn't help but think of Gino Auriemma and that Paige Beckers this year, who got knocked out of a game where they were up 70 with 29 seconds to go, and she's still on the floor. What do you think about that?
I agree with you 1,000%. And it's funny you talk about calling somebody out of the stands. I don't know about you, but I remember as a boy, when you're getting little league or whatever, and you have these, everybody dreams about getting up, bottom of the ninth, bases loaded, 3-2 count, you knock it out. I always have this thought in my head: wouldn't it be cool if you're sitting in the stands for a big game, and all of a sudden over the loudspeaker, "Well, Tony Segreto, please come down to the field," and all of a sudden they got a uniform for you, and
they throw you out there.
Yeah. So
let you get elbowed in the eye, not Embiid. What are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. To your point, I couldn't agree with you more. And I remember the Auriemma game. you said where why is she still on the floor? What is this? I mean, because you're setting yourself
But he
up.
does that. I mean, he
he
likes to
does.
flatten the opposition and just
I
rub
mean,
their face.
flatten is one thing. I mean,
Yeah.
making them Flat Stanley. I mean, for goodness sake, I don't know if you know who Flat Stanley is, but
I don't.
You don't?
No, who's Flat Stanley?
Every parent, when your child is in school, you get what they call a Flat Stanley. It's a cardboard cutout of this little character called Stanley, and then you send Stanley to all of your relatives around the world or around the country, and they take pictures of Stanley with them in Oregon, California, whatever the case might be. But the whole idea is it's Flat Stanley. So
what kind of weird cult is that, Tony? Don't
explain. It's been around for like 50 years, for goodness sake. Every grammar school child has done it, for goodness sake. Anyway,
all right,
I agree.
I'll buy
you.
that.
I was mortified.
Take your guy off the floor. I mean, he should have been in the front seat of the bus, waiting in the tunnel there for the rest of the team to shower and come out.
Don't even sniff a chance. Don't even sniff it. Yeah,
up 29. It's not like they were up 9 or something.
Yeah,
and they're thinking, all right. It's
what was
still
there? 3 minutes left? 4
a
minutes?
little under 4 minutes to go in the game, and the guy's still on the floor. And Rivers says, "Well, they had their guys out there." Well, of course they did.
So
they're about to get eliminated from the playoffs. And
they're down
29.
29. What a remarkable.
They're going to play their scrubs. They could have sent in the subs. And
I was glad you brought that up, because when I heard that statement from him, they had their guys on. Well, of course. They're down 29.
Yeah,
they're doing everything they can to stay in this darn thing. And why
what a
wouldn't you?
Meshuggah move. Wow. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
if
They
that's an
deserve-
oversight,
they
that's why
deserve
you
to
pay
get
a
what-
coach, though. I
Yeah.
mean, you pay a coach millions of dollars to make decisions.
And what is he, the third ranked coach for playoff wins in all?
I don't know how.
all time.
He
I
may
mean,
not
it's-
win a game if he doesn't get Embiid back.
Yeah.
Although the speculation is he might be playing in Game 3. That the eyeball is healed up all of a sudden.
Yeah.
All right, Tony. Always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks to Ed
How
Garcia
much
for
fun
joining
was
us.
this? How much
I
fun
had a
was
good
this?
time today. Really did. It was fantastic having you on, as always. And you look great, kid.
Thank you. I feel good. Thank you.
Are you taping some more Orange Bowl stuff today? Because you
I
really
am.
look like you're ready to go.
I am
man.
actually right after we get done here. I'm taping some more Orange Bowl things today, and I will leave you with this.
Yes.
Wall Street Journal did a story yesterday about how in Canada, doctors have gone and they agreed with the national parks that after all of these studies, how much nature helps people suffering from an assortment of issues, whether it's diabetes, cancer, depression, you name it, and how nature really plays an impact on healing. And they now have the right in Canada to write a prescription to go out into nature, and that prescription allows them into the 400 different national parks.
Wow.
And how in 1 month,
Everybody's going to be running and getting that prescription.
over 4,000 prescriptions have been written.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, free trip to the park. That sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah.
All right, Tony, we love you, and that's good stuff. I don't know. I when you started that story, I was thinking,
Where's he going with this?
No, I was thinking maybe they're smoking too much weed up there. I mean, oh wow, nature. That's great.
There's yeah.
All right, we have to run. Tony, you have a great day and a great week. We'll talk to you again next
Good
week.
luck with your derby. I'll call you about a bet. Make sure you have a
man, your limited bankroll. I mean, you got like $40 max to bet on this thing.
That's more than fine. I can handle $40. You can handle $40. I think you could probably handle.
No,
50,
actually, you could bet whatever you want because I owe you money. So I'll just deduct it from the.
You owe Gurgle's money, and you owe me money.
And you money.
All right, so we'll see you next time. We'll follow up on that, I'm sure, with my financial connections. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow. It'll be a Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge Day. Gurgle's only available at 8:30 tomorrow. Can we accommodate that, or do I come up with my own challenge in the early portion of the program?
Flip it to do 8:30 to 9. Do like a
short
okay.
All right. Yeah, we'll have it at the last half hour of the show. That'll be great. We'll do that. I'll tell Gurgles he's on, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Hope you're on with us, and we'll see you tomorrow here on the Defo Show. Michael Lubie, Lubitz, Jeff Deforrest. See you next time as we leave you know that.
The time.
9:05.
Let's go to eat a damn snack.
Look what they done to my soul.